Freedom is the right of all sentient beings.
Let's roll.
Morning, Sergeant Major.
How do you know what kind of goddamn day it is?
Beautiful morning, Sergeant Major.
Are you a fucking weatherman now?
You're listening to Sergeant's Time on WTF Nation Radio.
In the gunner seat today, I got, my man, Radar. Yo.
What's up, boss man?
Man. Yeah. This is awesome. Important guest coming on tonight. The command team of U.S. Army Recruiting Command, USAREC, is going to come on and shoot the breeze with us in the second hour, approximately 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So we got to kind of, I'm not going to put Radar in the bubble. Let's talk. Yeah, exactly.
It's only on Tuesdays.
It's only Tuesday. Yeah, see, Sorents and Sergeanting and Sorents, it's because of Sorents, wait, you got that Marine Corps flag? All right, back to the bubble with you. Anyways, I'm just kidding.
I do. I got. So when I built the bunker, I'm in like an actual bunker, right? It's all concrete,
right?
And so this, it's like it's like a box we built, and then there's sound deadening stuff in there.
Oh, nice.
And there's one. I have an American flag behind my computer, and I got the Army flag in the corner.
That's what
I'm representing all of them.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Everyone's got stuff going on. Spanky had to go do some other things, and so she asked Radar to spell and relieve, and of course
something about doing a combat jump into Ukraine or something.
Something like that, man.
You heard they're paying $2,000 a day, so she's like, "Bye."
Yeah, she's like, "See you, I'm out of here." But you're not airborne qualified. I am now. See you. So we're gonna have the command team from USAREC come on. I just want to give a real quick shout out to Recruiter Times. Recruiter Times has been the I guess how we are the voice of U.S. Army WTF moments. They're the voice of the recruiter, and I asked them. I said, "Hey, could you guys help me out and throw a word out and get some questions out there?" And so they assisted me in producing a lot of the questions here for today's show from the field. So these are going to be from station commanders. I don't know much about recruiting, so I'm going to be throwing out some acronyms that I don't even know what I'm saying, but I know the command team will know what I'm talking about. So I want to give a shout out to them for all assisting and filtering out the other ones too. All the other questions that are like, how come, blah, 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 because they were pretty good at it. So I appreciate. Shout out to Recruiter Times. You can follow them on Facebook, and they have Twitter. They're recruiters, so there you go. That's about all I can say. Also today is, it's kind of funny. So today I'm wearing my special operations recruiting accoutrement. I'm repping, I got to assist in the recruiting efforts. March 10th, 1993 is when I went active duty from the reserve component. What were you doing in 1993?
Me? I was going to school. I was learning how to do algebra or some shit. I don't think I was in high school yet.
You don't even think you were in high school? Okay, well, yeah. So
I might have been. I graduated in '98.
Yeah.
So I might have been.
Yeah, well, that's pretty cool. I've
Hate yourself a little bit.
Yeah, everyone's like, "Oh my god, I was." Everyone's like, "Elementary school." Yeah, so I had somebody tell me that I was stolen valor because there's no way I would have been that old because there's no way I was been that old. So I had not been in that time. I'm like, yeah. So again, so I'm helping the cause. So some of the questions that we got from the recruiting team out there. Standard recruiting stuff that, again, I'm asking some questions that have to do with some of their professional military education, some promotion potential, and their program that we have that USAREC is throwing out, which I think is pretty freaking cool. And I'm going to go with the command team. I'm going to throw up a real quick graphic right now of what we're going to be talking about. And that right there, where you see the bonus to serve and their campaign that they're doing. We're gonna ask them some questions about walking us through, because there's some questions in here that military media sites have pulled off and done specific little stories about, and there's eight little blocks that we're gonna cover. So I think it's gonna be pretty cool that they're gonna be able to. There's some questions in here that I didn't know, because I can assist. Hey, somebody asked me a question about recruiting and all these bonuses that they're doing. I did a little bit of research, and I pulled this information from the command team's social media profiles, themselves. They were the ones that posted this, so kind of excited to see what what they're going to say.
I mean, that's what Ukraine would pay us in a month. So
you see, jump on the Ukraine stuff already. Okay,
but $50,000. But honestly, $50,000. I think when I went in, it was 30. Last time I re-upped for a bonus, it was 30, and that wasn't great.
Yeah.
Then. So Jimmy got 40, 35 maybe.
Wow.
But I mean, like, I was like, that's the first question he asked the recruiter. He's like, Dad, what do I ask the recruiter? I'm like, ask him what the bonuses are.
Exactly.
He's like, well, I'm like, nope, ask him what the fucking bonuses are.
That's right. Get your paper. That's it.
If they want you, son. They're the ones sending you packages in the mail and calling you up. They want you.
Exactly.
Get that money.
Get that money.
Yep.
Everyone's in the chat talking about the Ukraine stuff, and I, as promised, I give you guys an 8-hour update of past 8 hours of events that's happened in Ukraine. If you've not paid attention to the news already, right now, currently, Russian forces, this is 8 hours ago, deliberately attacked residential buildings and other civilian infrastructure in multiple cities across Ukraine since the first day of its unprovoked all-out war that launched on the 24th of February. Another one that was pretty funny is that the Russian propaganda's latest comments is they're saying that the Ukraine is developing biological weapons and using birds to deliver the viruses. Remember how we just joke around and say that birds aren't real? I think Ivan takes our memes literal. I really do think that they look at our memes and they believe it and they go, "Oh my God, the birds aren't real. This is not happening." So the Russian state media actually claimed, without any evidence, of course, that the birds were intercepted of course.
Absolutely. Yep, right. They're out there with shotguns and shit. Yeah. It's fucking pheasant season in Western Russia.
Exactly. Oh, man.
Don't they know we're fucking around when we say shit like birds aren't real? Like, don't they know we're fucking with them when we say that shit?
See, that's what I'm saying, man. That's kind of like the running...
It's like the flat earthers and shit.
Yeah. It's like the running memes and stuff. It's like, man, if they're... Post more memes, guys, because if Ivan's believing this stuff, this is hilarious. The Russia occupiers mined coast of reservoir near one of their nuclear power plants, and the Energoatom is Ukraine's state-run nuclear company, and stated that Russian forces seized the nuclear power plant on March 4th. Ukraine's security service says that Russia considers blowing up ammonia warehouses in Kharkiv Oblast and blaming it on the Ukraine's armed forces. These. Ivan is like really anyone who was like really simping on them and thinking that they were going to be this powerful, all powerful dude. I'm kind of like, I'm laughing. It's like, I would, as a matter of fact, I would want, and I have some friends that are in the loggy community. I would pit up now some of our logging units against the Russian military, and they'd probably kick their ass. Nothing against our logging units. I'm saying well, actually, they would kick their ass. They'd kick their ass in logistics, and they'd kick their ass in fighting.
Yeah, we'd throw some jerry cans on that bee, and like
that'd be it.
We'd have brought a tanker with us or something. You know what? I'm not gonna simp on Ivan, but I'm gonna throw some caveats out here. Okay, first off, the Russians are known for not throwing in their top troops to begin with.
Right.
They don't. The tip of the spear is blunted, oftentimes with conscripts.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah.
And then they haven't. I thought that they would do better, just numbers wise.
Of course. Yeah.
They brought in what 200,000 ish.
Just about.
Troops?
Yeah. Yep. Several 100,000.
I mean, I'm sure some of that was support personnel, but I mean, figure even 100,000. Ground pounders and armored vehicle crewmen. That's a pretty sizable invasion.
Right.
I mean, you'd think they'd be able to make some ground and take some major cities 2 weeks into this. They're not really. They're not in any form. I felt they would be further ahead than they are now.
Right.
And I think
Agreed.
most anybody would agree with that. That 2 weeks into this, if you'd asked me 3 weeks ago, 2 weeks into the war, where they're going to be at, I'd have said further than they are now.
Agreed. A lot of the stuff that is I think what's pretty funny is that now, of course, there's a difference between analyzing and assessing what their capabilities are, and then just like automatically carte blanche saying that they were just going to roll over the Ukraine. I thought that it was going to be an onslaught. I mean, I will admit it. I was like, man, because some of the stuff we read about, some of the stuff we watch in movies, some of the stuff some of our doctrine, we're like, oh shit, these guys are it's gonna be tough for them. And it just, I don't know, 2 weeks. 2 weeks of fighting, and Ivan just sucks. I mean, I'm kind of taking notes here on some of the information operations side of the house, the tactics side of the house, the armor side of the house, the infantry side of the house. Forget aviation. I mean, those things their aircraft are getting shot down left and right. Helicopters getting shot down left and right too.
Well, and someone was one of the guys I work with today. I got a new gig. I work with all vets, right? Gotcha. And he was in the actual invasion into Iraq in 2003, right? And he said, well, we did this and we did this and we did this, and I was like, you know what though, like that environment that they're going into has a considerably greater number of threats. You know what I mean? Like the Iraqis weren't running around with stingers and javelins. I mean, if we were going into a threat-rich environment like that, we would have to take certain precautions. I think we would do considerably better as a mechanized force than Ivan is doing right now.
Right.
But I mean, that the Ukrainians are literally fighting for their lives.
Yeah. So
it's tough when you have people who they have their back against the wall, and it's easy for us to hear and laugh at them, but they're tough, man.
Yeah,
they're tough.
Exactly.
They got like little kids making Molotov cocktails
right,
in
dude.
the fucking basement. Shit.
Yeah. No, you ain't lying, dude. So 80,000 civilians have been evacuated, and in 2 days. And according to Irina Vereshchuk, the Minister of Reintegration for Temporarily Occupied Territories, and the U.S. is to give additional $53 million in humanitarian aid to Ukraine. And Vice President Kamala Harris announced that the aid will, during her visit to Poland, funding is an additional $54 million in humanitarian assistance from the U.S. that we provided earlier. Would you hear about the sales of the MiG-29s that I guess were supposed to be hand receipted, or a deal was supposed to have occurred between Poland and us and the Ukrainians?
They flew the MiG-29s to Ramstein. We're supposed to hand them over or something.
Yeah, some like big hand receipt changeover, something like that, and then the next thing you know, they were going to fly back or whatever.
Yep.
And that didn't happen. That kind of fell through.
They're in the wrong Connex.
Exactly. I'm here looking for some BII. What BII? We don't have any BII. Want a full layout. Yeah, that kind of fell through. I kind of think that would we should have done something about it. I think we should have donated aircraft. I think we should have provided.
I think because and this is another thing we're talking about today, but we're giving them pallets and pallets and pallets of javelins and Patriots, and well, I guess the Patriots are in Poland, so sorry about that. But they're giving them, all plenty of weapons. Like, well, we give them some fighter jets and might escalate the war. But how can we escalate it really any farther? I mean, we're already. If you're going to say giving the Ukrainians arms is making us culpable to the situation, we're already there.
Right.
We're already there.
We've already given them javelins. we've already given weapons that are killing. That's killing Ivan.
Yeah. So what? 19? I think it was 19 MiG-29s. I think was the number or something in there.
Something like that. Yeah.
It wasn't a whole lot. It was like a squadron and a half. It wasn't like we're, filling the skies with MiG-29s.
No, but they have the Ghost of Kyiv.
I mean, yeah. I mean that's enough to take out probably half the Air Force. Where they're going.
Exactly that. Yeah.
But I mean, well, and like D-Max said, when they give them F-15s, 18s, and 16s, they don't know how to fly them. I mean, it's flying. I'm sure like they know how to like fly.
Yeah.
But I mean, they know how to operate the MiG-29s, and they're a capable aircraft. They're on par with the F-16, I think, and that's not a bad idea. I don't see the holdup in giving them aircraft. We're giving them tools to fight the war that they're whatever.
On the ground specifically, you know what I mean? We've given them things that they've been fighting on the ground already.
Yeah. But then we look at, and this is fucking driving me crazy.
To the point where you're like freaking.
We can't. So if they had oil like Kuwait did, we would go fucking save their ass, right? But so they don't have any oil. I mean, I'm not saying we go oil, but if we did.
Gotta get the oil.
There I said it. If they were invaded by another country who had WMDs, we'll get into that.
Wait a minute, isn't that what Ivan's saying? Ivan's saying that, right? Ivan's saying that's what Ivan's saying. Ivan's saying that there's WMDs.
But I'm saying that was also the Iraq had WMDs too.
Right. Not to mention that. Well, I'm just saying, just putting it out there. Just I think President Zelensky should just like throw all the dirty laundry out.
Absolutely.
He should just post receipts on his Twitter account. He should just post, okay, you're going to abstain from this. Okay, here's what we worked with you, and this is what you said to us. Even us, even the U.S. Hey, you said something like this. Oh, well, then I guess we're going to have to post receipts of that. Let the chips fall where they may, I guess you'd say. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And we need to talk to John Deere, Recruiter Times. You're right. We need to give them a call or be like, hey, man.
John Deere better slow your roll, dude. Those are weapons of mass destruction. You see what they're doing? How many? They've retrieved thousands of Russian vehicles empty, like literally just unoccupied, just hanging out.
Yeah.
They're just like, whoa. Huge swaths of the global food supply come from Ukraine, accounting for 15% of the market. But this season, the engine of Ukraine's fuel supply has ground to a halt. Russians are attacking civilian vehicles and attacking indiscriminately against civilians in the village of Derivka, Kherson Oblast. Russian forces had fired upon a car, which burned, killing the driver. I mean, they're all the stuff that they're doing right now is all war crimes, dude. This is war crimes, and how anybody would not recommend that. I don't know. Putin faces the Hague, faces the war crimes tribunal. This is the point to do it. This is the time to do it. And I don't know if
I like that shit yesterday, dude. Where they had that fucking lady like in labor, fucking like shot in the chest and shit.
Right,
like,
dude.
I don't get emotional about a lot of things.
Right.
That was
they bombed a hospital.
Yep.
And there's I think it was a children's hospital. And
it was like a children and labor delivery hospital or something.
Correct. There's kids buried under rubble right now, and then Russia, of course. Ivan is saying that those are all crisis actors. They're like, oh.
Yeah, it's fake news. They literally said it's fake news.
Yeah, they literally said it's fake news. So
yeah, and I don't know, dude. I just can't. Okay, when I see a video on TikTok or something, right, or all these different, you can get on YouTube and type in javelin tank, and you're gonna watch fucking hours of tank getting blown up by javelins in Ukraine, right? In air quotes. I don't believe all of them. I think there is quite a bit of psyops coming from that end, saying, "Look at all the great things we're doing," and some of the Russian atrocities and shit. Like maybe some of it isn't 100%.
But you can't prove you can't prove it otherwise either, though, right? You know what I mean? So.
But it's hard to have some lady fucking bleeding out,
right?
Obviously very pregnant. Like that's fucking ridiculous,
right?
You know what I mean? So I don't know. And whenever somebody dictates free speech, it's not free speech anymore.
Right, exactly. No,
so it's really hard to believe anything that comes out of the Russian Federation and their news sources when it's very obviously doctored.
Oh yeah, sometimes they parrot our stuff and post our news media and our talking heads and pundits and use it to their advantage too. You know what I mean? Some of the stuff that they do is they'll use some manipulation of video. Some of it is just sometimes translated, some poorly translated to make it look like it's going on. It's all context, and they're using it like crazy. I mean, we have currently in the heartland, in Kansas City, there's a freaking radio station that's pumping out Sputnik, that's pumping out RT. And oh yeah, it's just still posting like no big deal, like nah.
But that's part of our reality towards free speech and the First Amendment to the Constitution.
Correct.
And this is we were talking about that, and this is another. I'm not even going to get down this road, but I mean like the censorship. I'm gonna call it censorship of like the media, right? Where they can't say certain words because it's offensive to people, right?
Correct.
Okay, those words, offensive or not, are protected under free speech.
True.
You know what I mean? Whether I agree with them or don't agree with them, or their words I'll use or not use.
Yep.
I'm not going to say those words because I feel like they're offensive, right? But it doesn't mean they're not protected, whether I like it or not. And if the Russians want to put out propaganda on Facebook or whatever, and because you get on if you get on like CNN or ABC or most of these websites, right? And you start watching the videos of javelins taking a turret off T-72, and you laugh about it. And they're like, oh, well, that's Ukrainian bullshit, and they're Nazis, and da-da-da-da-da. It's quite obviously like Russian bots or Russian operatives.
Of course.
And so, but they're allowed to say that things, right? They're allowed to say that. In this country, they're allowed to say it, whether we like it or not. Sorry about it. Now, but we allow those dissenting viewpoints to come out and say, you know what, because I've always been told any argument, whether it's between countries or between people, there's one side, then there's the other, and somewhere in the middle is the truth.
Yep.
And so, I mean, when you don't hear both sides of the story, can't even get anywhere near the truth.
Right.
And I feel like that's where the Russians are at right now, and the Russian people, and there's all these stories coming out, and people on the phone, so you know it's not bullshit, right? That they're calling their cousin in Russia, and they're like, "Hey, why are you guys bombing us? Tell them to stop." What are you talking about? You guys are in a civil war, and we're just there to stop it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Are we sergeants? Yes, we are, Coleman.
Yeah.
Some of us are bigger than SGT'S.
Yeah, well, we're NCOs. How about that? That's just sergeants. We're just NCOs. U.S. Intelligence Director says, oh, wait, hang on. I scrolled too fast. Izium residents are coming under attack during evacuation. This is as of 5 hours ago. Russian forces violated the temporary ceasefire for humanitarian corridor out of the city, according to the Kharkiv Oblast Governor Oleg Sunyahobov. Despite the attack, 44 buses left the city and evacuated 1,600 people. Now, I'm a civilian. We're civilians. Can we say that we're the ISIS radar show tonight? There you go. Now,
yeah,
we've had sergeanting experience. How about that? We've had NCO experience.
Yep.
What's going on? Abolish qualified. What's up? AQI. AQI sounds like an abolish qualified immunity. Those guys that just real quick off the subject. These guys. Do you know how I ever watch the audits from police officers, and they're the ones that are when police officers get a little heavy-handed and ask you and trying to jumble you into questions and stuff like that to get you to fess up to things that you probably shouldn't have said because you didn't ask for a lawyer or you didn't be quiet. And then they do the same type of stuff. So just keep an eye on them because they might be guests coming up soon and all this other stuff too to talk about what they do. Fascinating stuff when you look at it. But let's see. The U.S. intelligence director says that no fly zone will not protect Ukraine. According to Lieutenant General Scott Barrier, most Russian attacks come from the land, not the air, and no fly zone will not protect or against inhibit missiles or rockets and artillery. And Barrier noted, "Why don't we just give them like R2D2? You know that R2D2 C-RAM thing? On just put them on freaking trailers and just roll them right up. I mean, what's wrong with that?"
Yeah, I agree with that. Those things are balling.
Yeah,
those are balling.
Yeah, all they would have to do is put just two of them in a couple of cities, and
put them on the hospitals.
or the hospitals. Yeah,
hospitals. That's it.
Yep.
That's all you got to do.
Yep.
Man, this is where it gets crazy because we have all of these things, right, that we've developed over the years, and it's not just us as the United States. There's all different. I mean, that close-in weapon system that is that they have, but Israel has their whatever Iron Maiden thing, or
Iron Dome.
That,
Iron Dome.
Iron,
Yeah.
Iron Maiden's a different thing.
Yeah.
But I mean, and then I think didn't Poland develop one too?
Correct.
And there's all different kinds of ones that people are developing to do these to do the same system. Like somebody should be able to I don't know, sell them some. Like here,
I would say I would just see that C-RAM thing and just ship it on the trailer, put it right there next to the hospital, and then
just keep feeding them 20 Mike shells. That's all you gotta do.
Yeah, abolish qualified immunity. You guys are probably going to be on a Monday show because that's more the news commentary stuff. This is sergeanting. This is mill talk. Well, we'll definitely link up on that stuff. Zelensky on nuclear on Putin's nuclear threats. Quote: "This is a bluff." In an interview with German newspaper Die Zeit, Zelensky stated that it was unlikely that Putin would resort to nuclear weapons. It's one thing to be a murderer; it's another thing to be suicidal. Unquote. That's what President Zelensky said. He should drop receipts too. Hey, look, here's all why. Anybody who's shit talking Zelensky right now, here you go. I'll post receipts. Post it right there. Send it to US Army WTF Moments.
But look at those dudes, man. I don't know. How do you think he's Putin? Do you think Putin's crazy enough to use the nukes?
It's kind of tough. We kind of figured there was a percentage that he was going to invade Ukraine again. So there was a percentage of it, but I don't know. This is a new realm.
I didn't think he was crazy enough to invade in the first place.
Well, I mean, I'm just saying, but we never, aside from us, we were the only ones who've ever used nukes. So it's almost like to actually use a nuke in a combat theater. I guess we're the basis of the foundation to judge who or who would not use nuclear weapons. A tactical nuke or something like that. I don't know. That's
what I was wondering. I think a tactical nuke would probably be in the cards.
Right.
Him. Not to be shitty, but God, it just man, I don't know. That'd be such a fucking.
Yeah, if he brings it in there.
I would hope that he could refrain from that. But honestly, I don't know if he's crazy enough to do it. Now, I wonder if he gave the order, if there's a fucking general somewhere that has the nuts to stand up and say, "I'm not pushing that button, dude. You want it, you can push it yourself."
I don't doubt that. I don't doubt that at all. There's a possibility that they may or may not. A general might say, "Forget it." There's been cases in the 80s. I guess there was this one general back in the day, or I think it was a colonel, that was going to that almost launched a nuke, or almost was given the order to launch a nuke, and he kind of double checked. I had to look it up. But he's already in the country now. He's already invaded Ukraine. Yep. He's already gotten his ass kicked. The Russian forces have gotten their asses beat Their doctrine will be like if they have envelopment or they get their asses beat, their next step is either chemical or nuclear weapons.
Right.
And so that talk right there, will he or will he not use it? I think the world is a little bit more together on this. You got NATO countries, European Union countries. You have, when you have Iran, when you have the Taliban telling you, "Hey, dude, you chill," you're kind of like, man. So speaking of which, of other governments, the Slovakian government approves the deployment of NATO troops. Has approved a plan of station more than 2,000 new NATO troops in the country to strengthen the alliance's eastern flank, and the decision is waiting approval from the Slovak parliament. And the Russian promises to open, and this is as of 4 hours ago, humanitarian corridors, but only to Russia. Meaning, yeah, we'll let you escape, but you're escaping to us. And from 10 a.m. every day, Russia will open a humanitarian corridor towards Russia, though. Mm-hmm. And this will be done without the permission of the Ukrainian government. And then 4 hours ago, still, Russian forces have shelled more than 280 schools since the start of the war. Ukraine's Minister of Education and Science stated that the Russian forces had destroyed or damaged 200 educational institutions through bombing and shelling. Oh, dude. You're attacking women and kids, dude. That's just.
Well, and I don't, and this is where it might be kind of, and I'm taking. God, I fucking hate this. I feel like when I listen to people bash fucking Trump that are like way left, and I don't even fucking like Trump that much, but I'm like, you're fucking. But okay, so how many of those hospitals and schools and all that shit, like, are in the middle of a city and they're just fucking okay? Ivan ain't known for having the best fucking fisters in the world, right? They're just fucking lobbing rounds at towns.
Yep.
Right. So how many of those like are indiscriminate and a round happens to hit a fucking kindergarten, and how many of it actually targeting? Like, I think that school yesterday, when they're saying they sent some shit, they were like the Russians were like, no, it was a hospital, now it's used as a warehouse, and they're doing da 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 da. Makes me feel like that particular place was targeted, right? But they're just fucking, they're lining their artillery up hub to hub and just fucking shooting they're dropping rounds in the middle of town. They don't know where the fuck they're going.
Right, exactly.
They don't have any clue where they're going.
Right, exactly.
So, I mean, which is just as fucking bad. I'm not saying that's a good thing either. But, I mean, they're not particularly accurate in their, they don't give a shit about accuracy.
Dude. They don't, man. They
give a fuck.
They're just shooting rounds in the air. Yeah, they're just shooting, and they're just shooting at everybody anyways, indiscriminately. So it doesn't matter, even on the ground.
Fuck, like that news crew from Sky News.
Yeah.
They don't give a fuck, dude.
Yeah, they didn't care.
Okay, you're in a car, I see you.
As a matter of fact, Russian forces killed more civilians than Ukrainian service personnel.
Yeah.
And the Ukrainian defense minister has described Russia's invasion as a terrorist war, and Russian troops killed more Ukrainian civilians than soldiers, which is like a fact. This right here, what blows me away is this is like one of the biggest. Again, I'm harking back to my youth. Back when we used to, we didn't like Ivan, Red Dawn, Wolverines. You know what I mean?
Yep.
All those movies that we used to watch about, we were finally going to have an opportunity to go kick Ivan's ass, not through a proxy war, but face to face. And it just seems like, yeah, Eric's got a good point. I wish we'd kick Russia. I wish we'd go in there and kick Russia out.
I think so too. I mean, honestly, like, not to be a shit, but I think we're going to end up fucking doing it anyway, right?
Eventually, yeah.
We might as well do it while they got a bloody nose.
Eventually. Meanwhile,
he gave him a bloody nose. You might as well fuck go in there and finish him off for him.
Meanwhile, we're going to have USAREC coming on in the second hour. We're talking all this war stuff, and then you're like, "You want to join?
You want to join? Yeah, you want to join up? Like,
yeah, exactly.
I don't know, dude. But I mean, I'll take their side on this. So, like, 9/11 was a huge fucking boost for them, for USAREC, right? Maybe this is kind of the same thing.
Kind of like the book, to grasp the inner nostalgia of your parents. So like the kids or the grandparents, because I mean, it'd be like a grandparent now, the 80s joining in when I joined and all. Yeah, okay. So I'm gonna do the math right now. So by parents or grandparents talking about, your mom and dad, your grandfather or grandmother defended America during the Cold War against the big Iron Bear, the big Russian bear, and blah 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 blah. Maybe tap into some of that with the marketing. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Damn right now.
What they need. Remember back when we were kids and they had all those fucking like Ivan movies and shit?
Yeah, dude. Yeah.
I mean, well,
not the nuke ones though. The nukes ones scared the bejesus out of me when I was a kid.
There was a one. It was like a computer program was trying to fucking, and they were like
war games.
War
games.
Game.
Yeah.
Man, they need some more shit like that.
Yeah.
They need something to like.
Yeah, but
that was a recruiting tool, right?
They'd mess it up. Hollywood would mess it up, dude. They wouldn't. They jack it up.
Top Gun movie. The new Top Gun movie. There you go.
There you go. Yeah, the new Top Gun movie. I guess supposedly rumor has it that it takes place in an Eastern Bloc country around there. More. Stay tuned on that one too. By the way.
Yeah, the big 28s.
Yeah, MiG 28s. MiG 28s. Because I was inverted. There you go. That's right. Bullshit. Russians invaders shoot pensioners in their car in Marikov, Kiev Blast. A Russian armored personnel carrier fired upon a civilian car containing an elderly man and woman, and both were killed. Twitter deletes Russian embassy disinformation posts. The social network has deleted tweets from the Russian embassy in the UK, which attempted to deny Russians' involvement in the attack on Mariupol hospital, and Twitter said it has removed all posts denying any violent incidences. And this was as of 3 hours ago.
But I mean, like, okay, get back to the delete. Don't delete it. Let them look like a fool. Let them look a fool. Let them look stupid. Like, don't delete the fucking flat earther shit either. Like, okay, well, it falls out the earth. Okay,
you know what?
No, all right.
No, you're right. No, you.
And we'll fuck them and post those receipts.
Yeah, exactly.
Put them on there.
Post the receipt.
Really? You didn't bomb a hospital. What the fuck is this then? Oh, maybe we did. Okay, tight. You know what I mean? Leave it in there.
Is that Recruiter Times when that NORAD dude said if he could piss on a spark plug to help the situation? That was the best quote in War Games.
Yes.
Or the Hunt for Red October. You know, Rosie's gonna take a dump without a plan, son. You know.
That's why we don't have those movies anymore.
Right. There's nothing. There's no. I mean, it's like I said, but it appeared to have been more professional. Like the Hunt for Red October had that image of Ivan being like the Empire. You know, even Ronald Reagan called him the evil Empire. You know, it was. You know, the Red October was a submarine, and you looked at how they were, and you looked at how they they were all professional. They appeared professional, and this is in the movie and the book, of course. But then the next thing you know, you see Ivan like now on the battlefield, and they're, you know, it's almost like, you know, I would say that I would probably bet most of our National Guard and reserve units, for instance, units we would just decimate. Even like, you show up to drill. I think if you rotate a reserve unit or a guard unit 1 week in a month to every in the Ukraine, they'd kick Russia's ass and take names. You know what I mean? They were just, even when they're not ready, because I don't know. It just I feel that we're more ready than them not being ready. Does that make sense? Or not training up or doing it?
Well, I mean, yeah, because I don't know. As long as you pass a PT test.
You got to.
I guess it's not one anymore. Sorry about it.
Oh, gotta knock out them leg tucks. What's a leg tuck? We'll talk about that later. What else? Okay, so this 3 hours out. Temporary changes to Facebook has. Now check this out. This is Facebook. Because remember we asked about some stuff that we were going to post if we would get zucked. Facebook is to temporarily allow posts calling for violence against Russians. Calls for Putin's death. So if you post on Facebook right now, die Ivan. The slaughter some Ivans, die Putin or something like that. The temporary changes apply to Latvia, Lithuania, Estonia, Poland, Slovakia, Hungary, Romania, Russia, and Ukraine.
It's a fucking trap, because you know what's going to happen? They're going to let you put it on there now, and then you're just randomly in 3 fucking years, it's going to pop up. Your post violates community standards. You're going to get fucking zucked.
You're right.
Tweets.
You're going to post that. You're going to
trap. Don't put that shit on.
You're going to put. No, you're right. We have a lot of us have been zucked at WTF Nation Radio for posting something that we posted years ago, and it pops right back up, and it says your account's restricted for 7 days, and you can't do this.
Well, and secondly, where the fuck do they think I get my memes from? I get them from Facebook.
Exactly. I get them from the meme groups.
Yeah, fuck you. Like, no, my memes.
Exactly, my memes. Zelensky on Russia's accusations that Ukraine is planning a chemical attacks. He says that it worries me very much, quote unquote, as Russia has repeatedly accused others of what it eventually does itself. Quote, if you do something like that against us, you will receive the most severe sanctions, unquote. An hour out, Russia puts forth new requirements for humanitarian corridors and demanding a list of all evacuating vehicles accompanying, and forbids any communication equipment except for Red Cross representatives. The corridors are planned for Kiev, Chernihiv, Sumy, Kharkiv, and Mariupol. I'm totally messing up the names, but I'm trying to read through
No, dude, I don't even know, and I speak Russian. I don't even
that's
know.
what I'm saying. It's the same here. I'm trying to read the Cyrillic here. I'm like, UN Security Council to meet over Russia's claims of military biological activities of the U.S. on the territory of Ukraine. See, listen to that. The UN Security Council is now going to listen to what Russia says and of claims of military biological activities of the U.S. on the territory of Ukraine. Dude, that's like QAnon crap. That's like you said, flat earther stuff. That's
Yep.
Here we go again.
But in all fairness, like I can see him like investigating it a little bit. But like, you know what? Okay, maybe there was. Let's check it out. And then they're like, "Nah, you guys are fucked."
I think Zelensky would have been posting that shit up. I think Zelensky would have posted receipts. I think Zelensky would have said something like to the effect that, "Hey, did you know that we had," you know what I mean? Because in all the stuff that he was dealing with Treasy and the current administration, I guarantee it, he would have posted something that said, "This is what's happening" and all that.
Yep.
Russia says it could seize assets of Western companies that have left the country. Vladimir Putin said that in a video published in the state media that he backs a plan to introduce external management and the transfer of these enterprises to those who don't want to work. McDonald's, Philip Morris, Coca-Cola, I think Kentucky Fried Chicken. I mean, I didn't know there was a KFC in Russia. But yeah, I'm just like, wow.
So they're gonna seize all the KFC biscuits. And shit.
They're gonna have
my biscuits now.
Yeah, exactly. So you're gonna have chicken block nuggets, block nuggets or something like that, or some what other nicknames we can make fun of? A quarter pounder with Ivan or something.
Yeah, it's a Royale with cheese.
I'm sorry. Yeah, it's a Royale. Yeah, because they use the Ivan system there now. No, we can just make fun. It's just like, you notice everyone's like attacking. Now look, this is Putin and the government. Not all Russians, but I don't know. I've seen some videos. Not all Russians support this attack on Ukraine. They're kind of like confused.
But honestly, and it seems like the ones who do don't know.
Right.
If they knew the truth, they may not.
Right.
So I mean, I don't know, dude. Like, what? And this is the same. Like, when I was in Iraq or Afghanistan, I never blamed the people.
Correct.
I never blamed the little kid who was fucking playing with a broken toy in a mud puddle for the fucking war. You don't blame the people.
No, you don't.
So to blame all of the Russian people for the actions of their military, even let alone their commander.
Yeah, there's people here though calling for Russian citizens to get rounded up here, though, man.
People are fucking crazy. And people are like, "I'm pouring my vodka." Okay, well that sounds dumb.
Exactly.
But I mean, like it's like, and it was the same thing after 9/11. People were like fucking going after falafel guys and shit. Like, man, he didn't even fucking do it, dude. Like,
right, exactly. No, you're right. No, there was a big concern.
That lady owns that little Russian restaurant. Right. Ain't fucking Putin's buddy. In fact, she probably fled to the Soviet Union,
right,
or fled, Putin's wrath when he came to power, and just wants to come to America and sell you pierogies or some shit. Let her be.
Totally, man. You're not. I mean, you're like hitting the mark. I really don't like the fact that Russians here that had nothing to do with it are getting like some restaurants that like are getting called Ukraine House instead of Russia House. You know what I mean? Or they're, you know what I mean?
Get some freedom dressing and shit.
Some freedom, yeah, exactly. Instead of doing Russian kettlebells, you're doing Ukrainian kettlebells or something like that. You know what I mean? Just you start doing something like that. Marlene, appreciate your sacrifice and your service. Gold Star Mom's here. Do you think we should just quietly, with no warning, bomb the crap out of Putin and the powers that be? I think that there should be something clandestine happening, if that's what you mean. I think there's all of a sudden, oh look, there's a certain building that just got bombed. Oh, I guess we don't know. I guess we don't know what happened. Oh well, Anything that happens, I think, in Russia proper, though, I think it'd immediately be blamed on the West and blamed on Ukraine.
Yep. Well, and they can't even blame it on like the Chechen rebels or some shit because they fucking took care of them. Like
the Chechens, the guys.
Remember there was like a fucking bombing. It's like the fucking Chechens.
The Chechens, everything was Chechens. Exactly that.
We could have got away with murder back then, but no, because the fucking Chechens.
Exactly. Abolish qualified immunity. It's like freedom fries all over again. Exactly. Do I joke around about the freedom fry stuff back in the day? Of course, who doesn't? That was kind of funny. The reason why you didn't call them French fries is because the French was opposed to us going to Iraq. Are we going to apologize to France now for calling them freedom fries when we know what happened when we invaded in Iraq? Are we going to kind of like say, "Oops, sorry, you're kind of right. I guess we'll just call them French fries again." But anyways, yeah, it's one of those things where you're kind of like, oh, how are we going to knock this out and not be? Look, it sucks if you're a Russian citizen in the U.S. and you just happen to be caught up in this stuff and you're just like here on a visa. What's going to happen to them? All citizens that are stuck here or want to be here or trying to make a better life that said, I don't want to be Russian anymore. Yes, I'm Russian, but they want to be Americans. Do we just like clamp that down too? What are we doing? Are we calling them refugees too? Are we calling them, refugees in exile? What do we say?
Maybe we just call them Americans and fucking be done with it.
I mean, we're pretty quick on making other. I bet you.
I mean, that's so. I mean, I'm pretty libertarian on that shit, right? So like, I don't look down on like people crossing borders as much. You know what I mean? Like if you are for the purpose of this argument, if you are a Russian citizen and you're here trying to make a better life for yourself, right? And they're here doing that. Doesn't fucking matter where they're from, honestly, but for Russian, right? Should they get sent back just because they're Russian? When, if this guy's from Portugal and doing the same thing, or this guy's from Mexico doing the same thing, like they're making a better life for their family, and it happens to be here. It doesn't matter where they're from. You know what I mean? And how far back do you want to go with that? Half my family's Russian. You send me back,
right?
You know what I mean? What I'm saying. How far back do you go from this? Like, and we purposely go back to the Japanese in the Second World War. Right. And we're like, oh, this is a horrible thing. We should have never fucking done this. And every time something like this happens, we're like, fuck, kick the Russians out or kick the Arabs out. Because they're no, you can't do that.
Exactly, man. Dude, it's gotten so. That's what I'm saying. At what point do you say? What do you tell the Russians? You tell the Russian citizens that are here, hey man, you have. I'll put it this way: you have some politicians that don't want that. You have some politicians that want us to expel them. I know anybody working for the government of Russia, then of course I could see that because they're obviously going to be part of the mechanism there that is part of the attack. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. It's just hard to. Hard. Go ahead.
But everyone's like, "Well, we should take care of Putin." But you know what? Like, that's got to be them too. I've seen that a couple times. Like, and Todd Arnold says, "Anyone know where Putin is? That's bombing."
Yeah, exactly.
We gotta let them do it. We can't cause regime change there now.
Yeah,
that's got to be on them. But if we keep doing, I don't think sanctions work as well as people think they do. That's me. That's radar, right?
No, I don't think so either. I think they're more of like a kind of like a warning that we're going to cut off your banknote. You know what I mean? We're gonna cut off exports or maybe cause some taxes to go something like that.
Right. But honestly, who it's actually really hurting are like the normal daily people in Russia.
Right. And those are and those are the ones I'm not blaming either. As a matter of fact, once Russia invaded Ukraine, there have been some protests in Moscow of Russian citizens protesting against the invasion. So it's I feel you, man. It just
But we look at everyone here can agree that Putin started this war.
Right.
Whatever his fucking crazy brain, he started this war.
Right.
He's not and will never have any real cost from this. Right? Even if we go in there, if we as NATO invade Ukraine and take the Russians out, Putin personally is probably not going to have any real repercussions from this.
No.
Right? Same with Biden. Same with Zelensky's the only one of all the people, the figureheads. He's the only one who's really got to worry about his personal safety at this moment.
Yeah.
Right?
Exactly.
The people who always pay for these things are the Ukrainian people or the Russian people or the American people or whomever.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Agreed.
The people live in the dude's got 24 karat gold fucking doors. right? You think he's got a problem buying a loaf of bread?
No, he's not.
Right?
He's not
like it's the fucking dude who's driving the Skoda that's 45 years old and he's ready. He can't afford
the
his bread.
Skoda. Now that's a name that I've not heard in a long time.
Right.
Man, you straight dropping some knowledge on the Skoda bombs, man. Woo, bro.
But they just want to live, man. And these now their rubles are worth nothing.
Yeah,
right?
They're like they're worth minus 25 cents or something like that, or something like that. So, hey, we're gonna take a break right quick because we gotta set up the command team stuff, and we gotta set up some sergeanting things and all that, and I gotta post a flag because 2-star coming. We got a rep. So once we get the show set up and everything, we'll be right back, and we're gonna give us a minute to get everything set up because we're going to be broadcasting from multiple locations and stuff like that. So kind of like, bear with us a little bit as the time goes. So if it's like 6 minutes in or 8 minutes in, you're like, where are these guys at? We're just getting things set up for the tech, and then we'll be right back. So shots.
WTF Nation Radio. WTF Nation Radio.
Take it from me, Ice. You can't just float around space not caring about stuff forever.
The voice of U.S. Army. WTF Moments. This is WTF Nation Radio.
Shit in the bag, Pogue.
Nothing feels the same. Let it all be bad? Is this where you draw the line? 'Cause it's so sad. Tell me where you lost your faith. Is it so bad? Couldn't see it in your face. And it's so sad. I'll wait until you come back down to me. I'll wait until you come back down. While you keep it in your head, is it so bad? Never heard a word you say it, and it's so sad. Tell me when you lost your way, 'cause it's so bad. Wanna see you when I pray, and it's so sad. I'll wait until you come back down to me. I'll wait until you come back down to me. I'll wait until you come back down to me. I'll wait until you come back down. Is it what you want? Is it what you needed now? Is it what you breathe? Is it what you're bleeding now? Is it what you feel? Is it what you're feeling now? Is it what you wanted? I'll wait until you come back down to me. I'll wait until you come back down to me. I'll wait until you come back down to me. I'll wait until you come back down. Hello, will you come back down to me? Hello, will you come back down? Hello, won't you come back down to me? Hello,
I am here determined to stop this future atrocity.
This station is now the ultimate power in the universe. I suggest we use it.
The voice of U.S. Army, WTF Moments. This is WTF Nation Radio.
I find your lack of faith disturbing.
Everything stated on WTF Nation Radio is to be considered the opinion of the person that stated it, and not an official representation of WTF Nation Radio or U.S. Army WTF Moments.
Price does not include tax, title, or license. Some assembly required. Each item sold separately. Batteries not included. Objects in mirror are closer than they appear. If conditions persist, contact a physician. Individual results may vary. Keep out of the reach of children. Avoid prolonged exposure to direct sunlight. Keep in a cool, dark place. And
please enjoy the show. Shots.
And we're back. All right. Part 2 of Sergeant's Time with my guests getting set up. Apparently they were already on top of the tech. So I'd like to introduce you guys and gals to the command team of USAREC, General Vereen and Sergeant Major Foley. Guys, welcome. We appreciate you coming on.
All right. Yeah, hey, thanks for having us on. I appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely. Glad to be here.
Yeah, this whole discussion that we've had about Ukraine and all this other stuff, and I'm like kind of jabbed. I'm like, wait a minute, we're about ready to have the command team of USAREC coming on. So, and is it going to be a hard sell or not? So, but we'll check it out. Real quick, sir, tell us about yourself.
Oh, okay. Well, hey, I'm of
course, a military brat, born and raised in the Army. My dad was a career Army soldier, and spent most of our time at Bragg. And I'm married. I've got 4 kids. I've got one that's currently serving at Fort Carson, Colorado. He's on active duty. I've got one that's about to join here in the next couple of months. He'll be a lieutenant. He's going to be field artillery. And brothers who have served as well. So the Army is kind of my lifestyle, and again, just glad to be able to contribute and be able to serve.
That's awesome. Sergeant Major, this is your second time coming on Sergeant's Time, so
that's right.
Could you go ahead and just give the audience a little bit of background about you, Sergeant Major?
Sure. So I'm from the great state of Florida, and I joined the Army when I was 17 years old. And so unlike the CG, I'm an Air Force brat, by the way. And so I'm the only one in my family's ever joined the Army. And I'm pretty darn proud of that. Been in the Army a little over 32 years. And my branch is Air Defense, and served as a detailed recruiting NCO in the mid-90s, from 95 to 97. And so I've been back here for the last about 20 months or so. And so I'm married, and my wife retired about 12 years ago as a first sergeant. And we have 6 children and 5 grandchildren. Whoa. So glad to be here. And
6 children. Wow.
6 children. Yeah, it's 5 grandchildren. That's most important.
Yeah. No, of course. But wow, how'd you have the time to do all that? I mean, never mind. I don't want to get into that, but I just
in between deployments.
Yeah. Exactly. No, I hear you. I've got comments already. I'm like, damn, they look young. That's what I'm talking about. And everyone's like, no, we're just getting older. So I appreciate it. Hey, so I'm going to cut to the chase. You guys are starting off a new program currently now. I guess you would say a recruiting drive. Can you go ahead and give us a little bit of background about it? Any of you guys can answer.
Absolutely. So, Sergeant Major, you can start. I'm going to throw you under the bus first. That's what I always do.
You going to throw me under the bus?
Yeah.
All right. So for recruiting, we have a new thing called March to Service. And so we have all of our community leaders and our senior leaders from the Army, from all different types of places in the Army, that go out and they engage the community in their hometowns, primarily in their hometowns. And their job is to really go out there and partner with our community leaders, with our schools, and our influencers to help educate them on the opportunities and benefits of Army service. And so really, our senior leaders influencing the influencers on the ground in their locations.
Yeah. So, we've been sort of having to rely on virtual recruiting for about the last 2 years, since 2020. So,
of course.
So we have now we're trying to implement a program where we can actually, get our Army back out on the street, and so Army, the March to Service is really going to be an opportunity for us to be able to allow our senior leaders, our veterans, because we definitely want our veterans, our influencers, to help us as we start to really get our Army back in the communities face to face because of the pandemic. So this is going to open doors for us. It's going to get us back on pretty good fertile ground. And I think as we move into Army, the events that we have in April, which is Army Service Week, we're going to do very well because of what we're going to do here for March to Service at the end of this month.
Could you tell us, sir, what exactly that's going to entail in April?
Yeah. So March again, like Sergeant Major Foley said, it's really allowing some of our senior leaders, of course, our veterans, to kind of, get us, back in pretty good position when it comes to, having to now bounce back from a pandemic that really plagued our ability to be able to get inside our schools and be able to do those things we normally do when you talk about the real essence of recruiting. And so that's really getting doors open. And then as we look in April, then what we plan to do is if you think about it in an operational context, you use air power to really soften the atmosphere in some cases, and then then you take your ground force and then you seize the opportunity. You take advantage of what you've been able to achieve from setting the conditions. So that's kind of the framework that we really have tried to put this concept under. We're softening the community. We're getting out and we're trying to make sure that that the information is out there, and we're dealing with influencers who can help us open doors because of the absence of the pandemic. And then we're going to use our recruiting force as we look at the Army's the service week in April. Then our recruiting force is really going to take advantage of the opportunities that we've been able to achieve in March.
So we'll do some engagements on the ground, and so in schools, doing some future soldier swear-ins, and so just getting the community at the individual level involved, and capitalizing on the events beforehand. That's kind of what we're doing for March and April.
Have you considered bringing some celebrity play into this, or some you know what I mean? Nowadays you have like you were talking about the influencers. You have influencers that now appeal more to. Do we call them the TikTok generation, or do we call them the Instagram generation? At what phase are you guys considering something like that, sir?
Yes, that's an outstanding question. So we have seen the benefits of influencers, whether that's in reality. I mean, using them to do some of our face-to-face interaction, but primarily we've really seen the power of virtual influencers. So we're going to use them. We have started, reaching out to a few influencers who have these massive followers, and so we're leveraging them. But of course, with anything, if you're not familiar with the Army, then there's the informing and the educational aspects that need to occur before we really maximize the opportunities of these influencers. But we understand the power of influencers, and we have moved in that direction to make sure that we do have a pretty substantial amount of folks who have a big virtual following, and we're going to use them as well.
Yeah, think about people with 1 million or more followers.
Right. I was about to say, Sergeant Major, you got a TikTok? Yeah. Is that what you're saying? Are you going to be out there busting a move on TikTok?
We've been out there. We've been told that we have TikTok accounts.
Hopefully we got 80 of them.
Yeah, that's not the case at all.
Yeah. People want to be like Mike. They want to be like us, I suppose. They want to make it.
Well, I will say this, that and I know your realm is a little unique, that you have everyone wanting to contribute but not contribute, if that makes any sense. You have those individuals that, well, if I was a recruiter, I would do that. Then okay, well then let's put it in a packet. No, that's not what I meant. No, then you better put up or shut up, or you'll be dancing with the Sergeant Major on a TikTok vid or something. But are we looking at and this is from any congressional or funding? Can we? I mean, does it look like we're going to be able to afford it? Does it look like we're going to be able to resource that type of project or that type of endeavor?
Yeah, you're talking about acquiring a TikTok account or something? Is that what you're saying?
Well, okay, all right. Let me rephrase that, I guess. Is in other words, can we do it? I mean, is USAREC, is the command funded to provide that level of open, dealing with influencers? Because are some of these guys are going to want to get paid, or some of them want to do it for free, or some are wanting to do that? Have we budgeted for that?
Yeah, so we have to be very selective in who we select to make sure we're getting the return on investment, and then looking at the demographics of who they influence and the target audience that they influence too. So we want people that have influence in kind of persuasion or whatever on
correct
the people we're trying to recruit. We don't need to. The primary target audience doesn't need to be anybody over 40. So,
yeah, right, exactly.
So we look at different things like that, and so we probably don't have enough money to get like 100 of them, but if we had a niche few of them, that can make a huge impact for us across the nation.
Yeah, I think the other part is, we've got some really talented soldiers across the Army. We have soldiers who have some pretty robust social media accounts. And so it's a matter of also investing time in them as well. So we won't be able to use all of them.
Right. No, you're right, sir. No, you're right.
They're the age of these young kids too.
Right, exactly, sir. Not to mention the fact that you just throw them on some TDY orders, and it's more cost effective that way. And then show us what you did. Yeah. Okay, thank you. Help us out, and then we'll send you back, or maybe you can be part of a program, or whatever.
Absolutely.
I know, because I'm catching up to. I have to keep up with all the media realms myself, so it's like really hard when someone tells me, "Did you know this is out?" I'm like, "What is that?" And then this is the new platform that does this. I'm like. What do I got to connect to? You know what I mean? So I hear you, sir. It's one of those things that I have to keep up as well, being, doing this. And it's amazing. And my daughters, here you go, Dad. I'm like, what was that? What did you just do? Can you show me a little bit, what you did there again? But go ahead.
Ice, I'll tell you, thank goodness I have my wife. Because if it wasn't for her, I probably wouldn't even know how to even turn on my phone.
Oh no, I hear you, sir. No, like I said, usually this family was. You're like, what is that? I just recently upgraded to an iPhone 13 already, so I had an iPhone 6, so I know what you're saying, sir.
You know how to use it one way. That's to talk.
To talk, or maybe to snap a couple of pics or something like that. Or I inadvertently sent somebody a movie one time. I'm like, what does this do? I hear you, Dad. Why did you send me that? That's your foot. I'm sorry, kiddo. I meant to show you the dogs or something like that. Okay, so let's talk about this bonus stuff, gentlemen. This is some. I mean, I'm gonna post it up here, and we're gonna be off camera for a second. But we're looking at a bonus to serve. We have 8 options, up to $50,000 a piece. That's like I said earlier, $10,000 to be airborne. I didn't get that. Can I get some of that money back, or is there any way I can, get some of that change? Because that's.
We got to see if you qualify first.
Okay. So let's start off with number 1. Okay, got you. I got you, Sergeant Major. Okay, yeah, you didn't have to dig at me. Thanks.
Get your airborne physical done.
Again, yeah.
So that's Ice. That is absolutely. All those figures are absolutely. They're absolutely true.
Okay.
And folks will be amazed at. Really the numbers and very, they're really, really eye-catching, and to be honest with you.
Right.
But, I think I'll frame it in the Sergeant Major can talk some of the pieces and parts to our bonuses, but it's really about, at the end of the day, hey, we are, we're competing for talent, and the Army wants the very best and brightest that we can acquire. We're truly committed to it. And understanding that, with different times comes different means to be able to do that. And so that's why you see a lot of the talk about Army bonuses. What is also funny is, when you look at the other services, they're really kind of upset, to be honest with you.
We could clown on them, sir. We could
how can you do this to us?
Right. We could clown them. That's not wrong with that. Maybe they should have, maybe they should have thought of it, I guess.
But we're excited about what we have to offer, and I think we got a good product. We really want to draw the interest of young men and women to want to serve. So, Sergeant Major.
Yeah, so I mean, obviously the big headliner is $50,000.
Right, exactly.
Done that. But there's also, there's lots of jobs between, 1,000 and 40,000.
Right.
Then the most interesting thing is the quick ship bonus. And so I think that there is, most people can get the quick ship bonus. And so if you ship within 30 days, you can qualify for $9,000 right away, an extra $9,000.
Now this is once a contract is signed, and then that's it. It's ready to go. They've been sworn in. MEPS is good, and now they're willing to get that in.
Right. And so if you can ship out in 30 days, and then you get a certain amount of money. If you can ship out within 60, then it goes down a little bit, and so I think that's worth about $7,000. And then if you can ship within 90, then I think that's $5,000. So. So there's a little bit for everybody, and it depends on what you want and what that, and how we can, make that reality for you. And so there's lots of opportunity for bonus money. We really have done some extensive work in really trying to determine, how this generation thinks, Generation Z. That's really who we're really going after primarily.
Right.
We talk about incentives. We talk about, financial independency. We talk about the ability to be able to make some of their own decisions, which is why you're probably going to also talk about, hey, you get to pick your station, your duty station. All these things kind of come into play based off, some of our extensive study of this generation. And so we just try to stay on top of, how they're moving and how they're thinking so that we can make sure that we're in the right places at the right time.
Oh, Roger that,
sir. There was one service that said, hey, the most we can do is $4,000. I won't mention the service, but
it was like with that episode of Pawn Stars, when you said the best I could do is, best I could do is $50 for, something that's worth $1 million or something like that. That's probably what the other service did. So you also have in here, gentlemen, you also have, I'm looking at the number 3 bullet, the $40,000 for special language skills. Is that tied to an MOS or is that just general in itself?
Right. They are tied to MOSs, and normally it's going to be in the linguist field. So some of your intel and your linguists, crypto linguists out there. And so, those are obviously a high specialty, and lots of qualifications go with that as well. But yes, depending on the language and depending on the requirement, up to $40,000 in those.
All right. And then number 4 would be $20,000 to be an Army Ranger. Now, is that also tied to a specific field? Because that's some of the questions that I'm getting from some. Is $20,000 for a Ranger specifically to be assigned to the Ranger Regiment, or?
So some of that is going to the Ranger Regiment after of course after you finish all the your other basic combat training and advanced individual training. But we of course that's. When you think about infantry and what our folks do in the Army, we are a primarily ground force. So as you can imagine, Ice, that most of our requirements come in are really in the infantry. Some of our light forces. That's really where we have the most requirements to fill in the Army, and so that's really what we're trying to leverage to ensure that we keep them at a level that they have a force to reckon with.
And then number 5 and number 6. Number 5 and number 6 is at $10,000 for enlisting as an airborne soldier, which Sergeant Major said I'm already denied. And then and then this student loan repayment. This right here is what a lot of individuals have pinged me about as well. What can you give us a little bit of specifics on what the highly qualified portion of that for the student loan repayment?
And so obviously it's $65,000, and that so it doesn't matter what degree you have, obviously, and we have lots of people with student loan debt out there, and so that's paid off. And I think it's 1/3 every year of your service, and so up to $65,000. We've been doing that for lots of years. That's not something that's new. It's just we've been doing it for a long time.
Yeah. Hey, some people don't finish college. They'll start, and of course, life causes them to go in different directions, and they change their sort of educational pursuit, and so as they kind of not go back to colleges and universities that they're in, this is an opportunity for us to sort of give them a soft landing per se. If you're airborne, you know what I'm talking about. Give them a soft landing so that they can recover. And move out in a different direction, but also use the Army as a means to be able to now get them back financially when it comes to educational benefits.
No, I hear you, sir. Now, you said that has there been any specific, like for instance, if you have an associate's degree and it doesn't matter what degree you have, it doesn't matter what I guess you would say, well, like if somebody has a PhD and they have $65,000 of debt, that's going to get paid off as well. Is there a limit?
Yeah. So it varies. It depends. Most of our loan educational repayments are sort of the scenario that we described, where you have a young man or woman that just doesn't finish college and they have a significant amount of debt. That's kind of where that falls into. Now, the other thing that you probably don't see, and it's not on that slide, is we do a lot in the medical realm as well, which of course repayment is a lot larger. Because some of our men and women are pursuing medical degrees. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean that they've washed out of medical school. What we do have is a great program that allows folks who have medical degrees that they can actually come onto active duty or in the reserve component, and then there's an opportunity for us to repay their medical, their medical educational loans that they had to take out while they were going through medical school. So that is a great opportunity for us to get in, those folks who are where we need medical professionals, doctors, and everything else. So that allows us to be able to now, have a means to be able to reach into communities and be able to, and hospitals, and be able to in some cases, to talk to doctors who have a desire to want to serve in uniform.
That's a good point. I mean, have you done a recruiting drive in a hospital before? Have you had individuals go into a major hospital? I guess you would say, I don't know if they're franchises or companies or whatever, but have you been able to? That's now that you mentioned that, that's pretty interesting. I never thought about that.
Yeah, we do it all the time. I mean, our medical recruiting brigade is really that's what they do. They do it all the time. And so, as you know, I mean, we got to have the right people. Got to have the right people talking the right language,
right?
Per se, because to sell a product, you really got to know the product, and so you got to be very, very good at what you're talking about, and you got to be able to talk, medical terminology. So we have to use, in some cases, we love our NCOs. Our NCOs, we have non-commissioned officers that are medical recruiting for medical officers, and that could be difficult at times. But where we really do very well is really outsourcing, in some cases, some of our other docs who are currently serving, and using them to help augment our medical recruiting force to be able to get into those hospitals and really have those one-to-one conversations using medical terminology that in some cases wins the day. So yes, we do it all the time, and we spend a lot of time in a lot of our larger medical centers, civilian medical centers, to be able to try to look for those niche skill sets that we really need, that the Army needs, because we just don't have a lot of them.
Oh no, I hear you, sir. I hear you, and I think I think we, like you said, I think it's important that we do get those fields in, and I just totally didn't even think about it when you were talking about a recruiting drive in a hospital. That's already ahead of the ball game already.
Yeah.
So the last two pieces of it is the 7 and 8, which is the choose your initial duty station and the 2-year enlistment. That choose your initial duty station got me more traffic. What do they mean by that? Do they mean like I can literally just go to anywhere I want, or is it
almost
almost okay?
So there are a total of 10 duty stations that you can choose based on the MOS, obviously if it's available, and then if that training seat's available. And so some of those locations are some of these you'll get a splattering of, oh, that's a great assignment, that's not, whatever. But so we have a sampling across the U.S. So you can talk about places like Polk, Raleigh, Drum, Hood, and Bliss. So those are 4 of the 5 of them. But we also have Carson. We have JBLM out there in Washington. We have Fort Stewart, Georgia, and then we have Fort Campbell, and then we have Alaska as well. And so, and you know what? We're looking to add a couple more on there too. We're not going to give it up out here, but we are looking at adding more to that menu of options as well.
No, that's awesome. Yeah. That's totally awesome. My thing is that I don't know. I didn't hear you say brag though. I don't know what's up with that. Is that
I'm working on it? But we're getting there. We're getting there.
Yeah. We're getting there. Brag is near and dear to my heart.
All the way. Yep.
I think we definitely could. It will resonate with some of these young men and women, because you think about it. They see it on TV. They see folks jumping out of aircraft.
Right.
And so it's one of, I think it's one of those installations we could definitely benefit from having it.
But you think about the places I named. I mean, they're arrayed all over the country, and so depending on where you're from and if that's geographically close to you, you can serve somewhere near to where you basically grew up.
Yeah.
Right.
So
that makes sense.
A couple hours of where you lived.
Totally makes sense. Totally makes sense.
So ICE, you mentioned the 2-year enlistments. What a great opportunity. We've had 2-year enlistments before, so it's nothing really new in the Army. We've just we really started promoting it a little bit more. This young generation, they're really, a lot of them are focused on the short term. So when you start talking about long-term career, 20 years of service in the Army, it doesn't. I mean, it doesn't resonate to them. So they're thinking about short term. You know, you look at this generation. I mean, a lot of them will probably change jobs. Right. You know, 7 or 8 times. You know, in their work career. So really, the short term sort of satisfaction of understanding that, you know, hey, I'm not committing myself for a long period of time, but the short term enlistment is really something I think that we could really benefit from. And then the other part of that is 2 plus 2. So 2 years on active duty and then 2 years in the reserve. This is, you know, I think this option is something that will allow our, you know, young kids who don't want to continue to serve on active duty to now go back on the reserve, in the reserve component, and then still be able to get to a location where they can live and have another job beyond just wearing a uniform. But it also will help our reserve component force too, as they continue to try to grow and build their force, their force size as well.
I revealed to the audience that today is the anniversary that I went active duty from the reserve component because of that. If there was a 2-year program back in the day, I probably would have done the same thing. But it was I did reserve time for about 3 years, and then today, 1993, is when I went active duty. So you're right. It definitely would be a big help. Now, how does that work though? I mean, is it after graduation of all your training, or how does that work?
Yes, it is absolutely after all your training. The clock doesn't start until you've finished, all your mandatory training.
It's the 2 years plus training, right?
Okay, so if somebody is obviously like a linguist or gone through some programs that's going to extend it, so that makes sense. Yeah. That totally makes sense. The one question that I have is that are you tying some of this with the special operations side of the house too? Is there some how are they asking for some help too as well? Are they jumping in, or you're just going to be like, hey, they're already in, so you know when they get to you, they get to you, or this just initial sessions?
Yeah. So so we do have some some incentives for special forces. As a matter of fact, the special forces MOS is tied to our $50,000 bonus. So there is that one of those bonuses for the $50,000 initial sign up is for special forces option. So
right.
So we are considering our soft. We do know that in some cases it's a very we're going in service to recruit a lot of these young men and women.
Right.
Serving that type of organization, and believe it or not, it is challenging in some of the some of the different career fields, and so we're just trying to do everything we can to really open up the aperture and give more opportunities, I think, for people to want to do that, and so we're continuing trying to improve every single day.
That's awesome. I had to do a dig. I had a little question there because I know my brethren are like, dude, are you gonna ask anything about SORB or any whatever? I'm like, what? This is for the, like you were saying, sir. This is for the new kids. This is not for individuals that were already in. You know what I mean? You could go ahead and go to your GoArmySoft.com. That's what I do. Or look at me wearing this T-shirt. I will just you're already in. You're not the like you said. You're not the audience we're trying to get.
But a lot of these SF, MOSs, when they re-enlist, they get big money. You know that.
Right. Oh, yeah. No, exactly. When I re-enlisted to go past 20 as a PSYOP guy, they're like, one of those large bonuses that I just pulled up was given to me to go past 20. And I'm like, you're going to get what? To go past 20? There you go. Let me sign away. It was.
Yeah. Right. So you were a PSYOP guy?
I was, sir. I was a 30. Initially, I was a 15 Papa, which is aviation operations, and then I went PSYOP. Yeah. And
37 or something like that.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Something like that. Yes.
yeah. I mean, I started with PSYOP, so I know.
Oh, okay. Awesome. Yep. 37. Yep. And I did it. I just retired, 2018. So it was.
Okay, good.
It was a great time. No regrets. All this stuff that's going on with the information operations side of the house, and watching all the memes and Ukrainian events going on. This is, to me, I'm salivating at all this. This is awesome.
Yeah.
That's a good point too. Are you creating any MOSs? Is there new MOSs that that are coming out that individuals can enlist? Because the Marines, speaking of the PSYOP side of the house, the Marines just created like a super PSYOP or cyber MOS that just got announced today for a new MOS. Is cyber or any other MOSs that you know about are coming out that could, I don't know, would be part of the recruiting program?
We already have a cyber MOS, and so we've had that for a couple of years, and so I'm not tracking any new MOS that we're fielding at this time. I mean, obviously there's new capabilities that the Army is modernizing
right.
for weapon systems and mission command systems, but not tracking any new MOS for a capability or anything like that.
Task and Purpose just recently posted it out that there's the Marine Corps are combining cyber, PSYOP, civil affairs into a super cyber soldier, Marine. I don't want to say soldier, but a Marine. And so they're the ones that probably were hating on your bonus, but
I'm not going to say.
I hear you. I almost got it out of you, man. I almost got it out of you.
Trying to get us to tell.
The combat influencer of excellence.
We gotta watch you. You've been trained. So.
Now we know you're a PSYOP.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, come on, gents.
Influence.
So we're going to go ahead and start going to the questions, gentlemen, if you guys are ready to take some of these questions. I've tried to, again, I have Recruiter Times assist me and help me out in filtering some of the questions from questions as opposed to things that would be a distractor to the interview. So I just wanted to make sure that you guys knew that this is some of the best. So the best we could get. I'm not a recruiter, so I don't know what the line of conversations are. So let's start off with one that is, well, you just answered it. Never mind. Somebody just asked me about the task and purpose question about picking your own duty station, and we just answered that one. So that was question number one.
Right.
One down. Another one's, as a new recruiter that graduated the USAREC in December, my question is more of a training input. With so many different TTPs and stations operating different in all the different companies we have, would it be more beneficial to learn recruiting OJT?
I mean, well, I'll put it this way. I mean, we have the institution and the education system for a reason, just to baseline everybody on recruiting. And so that's about, I think it's 6 weeks, 4 days, or 7 weeks. And so that baselines everybody to give them the equal education for anything we do in recruiting. So learning regulations, knowing how to prospect, knowing how to kind of do basic fundamentals of recruiting. And then when you go out to your recruiting stations, when you get stationed there, then depending on the market you're in, depending on the environment that you work in, that could vary a little bit based off of how you recruit out there and the method you recruit. And so you'll do education at the institution for education. And then when you ride to the unit, you do training. So in essence, it is OJT. We're not calling it that. We call it, hey, we're going to train and certify you. Just like if you go to AIT and you graduate, okay, you receive some education and some training. Now your unit is responsible to train you and to certify you, and in your MOS to be proficient, if that makes sense.
No, totally, it totally does. Another question on that is how, and this is from an individual who may want to be a recruiter. How is the training different from NCOs and officers for recruiting?
Wow, that's a great question. So, so when we bring our, really most of our officers are at the captain level. So we bring our captains in, and they're primarily going to become the commanders for the most part. They're going to command one of the 270 or so companies we got running around all over the U.S. and, of course, U.S. territory. So the training is definitely a little bit different because company commanders are really supposed to be sort of commanding these organizations. So I am not necessarily expecting them to put people in the Army. Now, yes, occasionally, we do put people in the Army. I mean, I've been known to get a whole bunch of leads and, but they fall out somehow. That's for my track record.
Somebody else gets credit for it.
Somebody else gets credit for it. So I'm still trying to get my gold badge.
I was about to say, you guys are competing back and forth for gold badges. That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. But Sergeant Major, I think he got his from the PX because he just picked his up at himself.
$7.95.
But so you have the command part. That's really what I want the captains to focus on. Is really how to command a company, which is very challenging. It's very different because we're in locations we're not necessarily on military installations. So command in this environment is uniquely challenging because of just the other things that you have to deal with that you don't necessarily have at your beck and call when you're tied to a military installation. We want our NCOs to really understand, the parts of recruiting. We talk about, the elements of true recruiting, and so that's what we want them to focus on. But company commanders, our captains that come in, hey, I want them to learn how to command effectively. What do I focus on? One, I focus on making sure, that they lead, they're inspired, and to be honest with you, that they can help resource those NCOs that are grinding every day when they need certain things in order to make them successful on the ground. So that's sort of the difference. We train them together. We train the company commanders and first sergeants. We train them together in one course together, but we also split them out in various parts of the course to make sure that the NCO sort of leadership is focusing on really elements of recruiting, but also kind of giving the commanders, the company commanders, that managerial sort of aspect of what it takes to be a good commander.
I was about to say it was almost like doing the pre-command course too. That's what it sounds like. It sounds like
yes.
you do something at CAC,
absolutely,
or in a local organization like 18th Airborne Corps. You do the company commander course with the commander, and you ride along with them.
Yeah.
Now there's another question. Why this is as a matter of fact, this kind of ties into the conversation of the influencing portion of that. Is there something of the national marketing money pool? I'm trying to dissect this right here. If there's something part of the national ad campaigns that can be pushed down to the individual recruiters, like for instance, have a recruiter in charge of being a social media influencer, it would be like another question is basically, why are we not equipping at a minimum one recruiter per company with all the tools to be a social media influencer, instead of they feel like they're restrictive as opposed to taking away some social media avenues?
Yeah, and so that's a good question. So we have NCOs that are social media. That's what they do. Probably have around, and I can't think of the exact number, but about 120 of them outfitted across all of our companies and all of our battalions, not companies, but battalions. And so they do some targeting for marketing down at the local level, the regional level, tailored towards the market they're trying to get after. And so we do that. And they're armed, they're trained for that. And we select the best people that know how to do that. And so, I mean, that's currently what we do with social media right now. Now, we could talk about national marketing, we probably won't here, but we create content in our building and we push that down to our force. And so they're able to take, probably 13-second videos, which that's beyond our Generation Z attention span, which is 8 seconds.
Right.
Push those to our NCOs. They can put that content on their social media pages. And so it's kind of the armed in with having a soldier tell their very quick story about what they do. Hey, I'm a 31 whatever, and I'm a dog handler, or I'm a 13 Bravo and I pull lanyard for a living or whatever. And it's very, very fast, and they push that content. So that's more powerful to me, is when you have 11,000 recruiting NCOs or so, and they all have their individual personas, and they all can push content at the local level. That's more powerful to me than having anything above that, because if you do your job as an individual, then you'll be able to market your area.
They know that. Yeah.
Hey, Spice, the other thing, Sergeant Major hit it spot on, but nobody's prohibiting our NCOs from being creative. I mean, because we want them to have their individual sort of virtual personas, and using the right approved platforms to be able to do that. But the really good thing about what our very innovative NCOs can do is they can create their own content. They can create their own personas. They understand how to what resonates with the young generation that we're trying to recruit from, and we want them to have unedited sort of real live sort of video that that really gets at the heart of being, hey, this is real. This is a real person. But guess what? That person that's doing this skit or doing, this event or showcasing themselves is also a soldier in the United States Army. So that's really what we want all of our NCOs to do. Just be creative, but within good taste. So because you are representing the United States Army, that's at the end of the day, that's really what it boils down to.
No, I hear you, sir. I think most of the questions are mostly the concern, I guess I would say, is that a lot of them are using their own resources. And one of the questions that I had as well is considering the social media influencer side of the house, are there any plans of sending those recruiters to any specialized social media training or any, you know what I mean? Like training with industry or something like that. Is there any plans to something like that to get them more refined?
So somebody must have been in my conversation with my G3 Sergeant Major about 8 hours ago.
I'm not going to say anything, Sergeant Major. That's
so there'd be a listening device in my office. So, and so I did ask my G3 Sergeant Major today, and I said, hey, we really need to go out there to find one of these TWI training with industry partners out there that really can train our folks specialized. Make them better against industry standards on how to do social media and some targeted marketing. And so we are going to pursue that, and we're going to invest in our people. We have to.
Awesome.
Because we have some people that are really good at what they do, and they probably had some background in their previous life or whatever. But now we really want to take that to the next level and train these individuals with outside organizations. So it's a good question. Great. Best one of the night.
Well, there's individual recruiters that are out there that they I mean, I'll be honest with you, I'm going to cut to the chase. They feel restricted. They feel like they're not allowed to have their content thrown out. So I was just wondering if there was something that the command would initiate, so that way the commanders, the station commanders, the battalion commanders would say, hey, look, this is a standard. This is the way we're doing it, to kind of like remove the old school mentality of, like we talk about us learning how to use a phone. It would be, to them, they feel that they're being restricted is basically what it is.
Yeah, I mean, they can do pretty much anything they want as long as it's within taste and it's abiding by, we don't, they have pretty wide boundaries as long as they're not doing anything crazy.
Yeah. And we're okay with, being authentic. I mean, that's because we know that's what wins. And so we're okay with it. I spend a lot of time, to be honest with you, Ice, and Sergeant Major does too. We go through our Instagram and we're seeing our recruiting NCOs and our recruiting force doing, things. We're cracking up. I mean, it's funny to us, especially if it's in good taste. But really, I was like, wow, that's pretty amazing. So we've got some very talented NCOs. I do not want our command to feel hamstrung. I mean, that's not what we want, because in order for us to be, if we're going to be really good, then we have to be able to allow the opportunity for our force to really go after what works for them within good taste and as long as we're using the appropriate platforms. But you are right, and Sergeant Major and I have given this some considerable thought. We really want to get an opportunity where we can now connect our NCOs, some of our talented NCOs with industry, so we can kind of make sure that we're within the industry standards as they continue to innovate. Also, we want to be in the same in the same sort of category with industry standards as well.
No, of course, sir. I hear you. One of the things is that I get, and we get it in WTF moments sometimes as well, is there'll be a really circulating video of a recruiter doing something or doing whatever, and the next thing you know, they're being told to pull it down, and we're like, I don't know about that. What, you know what I mean? I don't have TikTok, so I might have to get a video looked at, and then I'll sometimes question. I'm like, yeah, I probably wouldn't have used that, but there's no, you'd have to bring it up to your chain of command on that one. But most of them have supportive commanders, and it's mostly onesie twosies that have a little bit of restriction on it.
Yeah. We know that as long as we continue to operate in the virtual space, we have to assume some risk. I mean, we have to. That's the environment that we live in, and so we understand it comes with risk, and we're okay with it. But we also understand that's a part of our business, and so for us to invest in social media and be in the virtual space, there's some risk So, and that's what leaders have to. That's what we have to absorb. So,
I hear you, sir. Another question here is that how feasible is it to remove? And I don't know about this. Must be a unit makeup or whatever, or organizational makeup. How feasible is it to remove the civilian that works at the CLT with a 42 Alpha NCO? I have no idea what that is. So that's a is that a in and out processing company or something like that, or battalion function or something?
Could you repeat that?
Repeat that again.
How feasible is it to remove the civilian that works at the CLT with a 42 Alpha NCO? So I guess replacing a civilian with a soldier instead of a civilian being at that position.
Yeah, I think the civilian is a secretary or EA, executive assistant, and they're talking about putting a 42 Alpha HR person in there. And so, I mean, it comes down to billets for the Army, what the inventory and the authorizations are allowed. And so, I don't oppose it, but I think that was proposed a while back as well, and I don't think it. I think we did take a look at it a few years ago, but I don't know if it was ever supported.
Yeah, the good part about I think the Army is and military in general is our civilian workforce too. I mean, they're the continuity. So when we run into situations where we just can't man a certain billet because it requires a specific MOS, the reason why we have civilians is to allow units to continue to carry on in the midst of transition and all the other things that the Army brings upon every single organization. So, at the end of the day, our civilians are really the continuity, and so we have to rely on them. And Sergeant Major's absolutely right. There's so many 42 Alphas in the Army, and of course, when you think what the Army has to fill across all of its formations, we can invariably not have enough in the inventory. So civilians are really a key and vital, asset to all of our formations.
Yeah, every unit has one.
Yeah.
Right.
And then you think about it too, it's like, hey, that civilian that sits at the company headquarters, that's an opportunity for a soldier spouse to be hired on as a GS employee too. And so it's an opportunity for spouses to be employed if they meet the requirements. So.
Yeah, that's a question for me. Is there an incentive program for spouses for a recruiter? In other words, what programs are out there? Is there any? Because I know right now, spouse employment is one of the issues. I wouldn't say an issue; it's a major concern for the Army in as far as accrediting. For instance, if one of them is a teacher or one of them works within the DOD system, is there any? Does being in USAREC have that same benefit as well, or that same concern, or at least command awareness?
Well, I mean, I think that's a concern throughout the Army, what you just indicated, especially when you have professions that require licenses and certifications and so forth, and when you go across state boundaries, and whether or not they're reciprocal states or not. And so and I imagine we probably have, those typical concerns from spouses as well in USAREC. But right now what the Army has is, hey, when the soldier PCS is that spouse is put on spousal preference if they're a current GS employee. And so there's spouse preference when they apply for those jobs, and if they make referrals list and the referral list, and then the spouse preference that's associated with that. And then based off the resumes, and if they get selected, that's good for them. And so that's the current process right now. But I think you're talking about, hey, if you cross state boundaries and you have certifications, they may not be recognized in another state. What's the impacts of that? And that is one of the issues for quality of life for spouse employment as soldiers move around different duty stations.
Yeah, right. And I think we're getting better, because that is one of the things, not only for the Army, but I think for all the services. And of course, you see a lot of certain different policies that are being talked about at the really at the DoD level. How do we get better with taking care of our spouses when it comes to licensure and having the ability to be able to transfer their license from state to state as we move, because that's something that we know that occurs, and we're just trying to do everything. I think we're trying to do everything we can to make sure that our spouses have the opportunity to continue to pursue their careers in the midst of 4 to 5 year transitions from different states because of PCSs. So
that's a good question too. Somebody asked, "What is your?" And this another one from the "I want to be a recruiter" guy. What's the average tour length of a recruiter, and what's a DASR? What's a DAS or what's a DASR?
Right. And so the tour length for all of our detail Army recruiters that come out on as new recruiting NCOs is 3 years. So it is a blanket 3 years for everybody. So, and that's so the DASers are your people that initial tour is as recruiters and in our formation.
Yeah, and then we of course have the professional recruiting force. I mean, those who are 79 Romeos who they were originally DASers. I would probably say for the most part, DA select recruiting NCOs who came to us, and if they so choose to now reclass to become career recruiting, experts and professionals, then we reclass them, and that becomes their responsibility, their job for the rest of the time that they're serving in the Army.
For promotions, has there been an adjustment? Because I know when I was coming up back in the day, it was drill sergeant, recruiter, battle staff, jump master. Those were the DA PAM that's your measure of promotion for excellence. Is recruiting still part of that? Is it still part of that DA PAM, exceptionally qualified, for promotion? I'm just curious.
It is. And so, I'll be up front. There was a time, a long time ago, where drill sergeants had the upper hand on recruiting NCOs. When I recruited in the mid-'90s, that's the way it was. And I couldn't get promoted for a few years because of it. But then the Army kind of, probably the turn of the century, and I know it probably sounds like a long time ago, but is when we kind of leveled the playing field. And now you see those jobs that you just mentioned are really special consideration. If they did them well, I mean, that means a lot, and for potential in taking on those hard assignments. And so when I look at promotion rates now, and I look at who's been drill sergeants, who's been recruiters, and who's been instructors or whatever, those individuals are getting promoted at a pretty high rate, as long as they did the job well. And so you still got to do it well. You just can't say, right. Hey, I was a recruiting NCO and you didn't do so well. Well, evaluation still means something, and you have to do it well. But there is consideration for those individuals that did those assignments.
What is I got some other questions from the chats now that I wanted to grab. Are there any more open general contracts? Like you just hey, I want to join the Army, open contract. Is there such thing as that? And you could just be in it. You'll be given any MOS that the Army wants you to give. Is that still, or you'd actually have to choose now?
No, it's not. I mean, you have to choose a job. And so I'll give you a quick story though. When I joined the Army back in the day, I didn't even know what my job was. I had one. I just didn't know what it was. Nor did I care either. And so when I showed up to basic training like 9 months later, all my peers, which is 17, 18-year-old kids, were asking me, hey, what's your MOS? And I was like, what the heck is that? They said, no, your job. What'd you sign up for? I said, I don't know. I said, Army? And so I didn't know until I went to the reception. Hey, you're going to be this. And I'm like, okay.
Oh, they saw you coming. They saw you coming there.
They saw me coming. Yeah, I was a straight up walk-in. I walked in. Yeah. And the NCOs almost fell out of the chair when they saw me walk in. So it's good.
Yeah. It's all about scores. At the end of the day, I mean, you have to score fairly well, and then of course, based on how you score, on course qualifications, all those things come into play. And then that matches you up with whatever MOSs that you qualify for. So,
Another question I have in here: what's in store for the top producing recruiting NCOs of a second quarter FY22?
Hold on. Can you see that?
The helmet back there?
Yeah, I see it. I see the helmet back there.
not the MP helmet. They're not going to go to jail. Not going to be arrested. You see that football helmet back there?
Yeah, Roger that, sir. I see it.
Okay, that's what they're going to receive. So our top NCOs will receive. That's a full size helmet.
That's what I'm talking about. So you guys, now somebody asked another question too. Do recruiters have quotas?
Yes, sir.
They have missions.
They have missions.
But yes, you're expected to sign for your mission. Yes, and so you have to put in a certain amount of people, a quarter, or a month. And so yes, you have assigned missions. So that's you have to do your job.
I was about to say, yeah. Right, well, that's obvious. It's almost like any stats that you would have as a leader in your command anyway. Nobody can be failing a PT test in your organization and you consider yourself good. You have to have some high stats.
Yeah.
Do you have incentives for making mission, I guess you would say? What's your average mission requirement, I guess you would say, for a recruiter?
Yeah. So that's a great question. I mean, to be honest with you. So it varies. Some of our very populated areas that are highly propense, their mission is probably a little bit higher. So that could mean, hey, I've got to put 2 people in the Army for this month. Some of our areas that are not necessarily populated and propense, maybe they just have to put 1 person in the Army for that month. So it varies based on where our NCOs are located geographically, because we all know that some areas are not as propense as others, and so it's a little bit harder when you think about having to put somebody in the Army. But the rule is what the Sergeant Major always says, and what is that, Sergeant Major?
So none of our NCOs will be on a mission of 0.
That's it.
So
absolutely.
You can expect that if you're serving in recruiting command, that you're not going to have for the month of April, you don't have to put anybody in the Army. That's not going to happen. So it will be at least 1.
Kind of defeats the purpose of being a recruiter if you're not recruiting anybody. I mean, that's some common sense.
When I recruited in the mid-90s, it was 5 a month. No, I'm just kidding.
You probably made it. You probably made that recruiter's mission that day too. Sorry, Major. You're like, dude,
you had that Rolodex hot. He had it hot.
Exactly that. I was about to say, somebody just asked, "What's your mission, Sergeant Major? What you got a mission too?"
I got a mission. I do. It's very large mission. A whole lot of people.
That's awesome, gentlemen. Thank you guys so much for coming on, and we appreciate you coming out here and shooting the breeze with me and having the WTF Nation hear us out. Is there anything you want to say before we cut to break?
Okay. Hey, well, I'll start. And so I know we had a lot of people ask some questions and probably some aspiring people that want to serve on recruiting duty. But I'll tell you, we were looking for people that are committed, are motivated. They want to make a difference and they want to work hard, because recruiting anywhere is not easy. And so, but hard work, commitment, good leadership, you can do well. And the second part is, hey, we're looking for people that want to serve our Army. We're looking for people that are talented, that are bright, and that want to serve. That's who we want on our Army team.
Yeah, that's awesome. And the last thing is, we understand our role for the Army. We understand what we're for. I think that is important. And all of our NCOs, they really value the difference that they can make to help the Army remain the best fighting force in the world. And so we're committed to it. We love this job, and we know that we're going to make a difference because the Army needs us. And as I always say, this is our time because this is our Army. And so we're ready and we're in position to make sure that we meet the Army's needs.
All the way. That's what I'm talking about. Gents, thanks for hanging out. We're going to take a break right quick, and so I can do some admin stuff with our guests, and then we'll be right back. So everyone, smoke them if you got them. Go hit the latrine, and we'll be right back. Stand by.
The voice of U.S. Army, WTF Moments. This is WTF Nation Radio.
And we're back. Man, thank you guys and gals for hanging out. Appreciate you, shooting the breeze. Of course, I thank the command team from USAREC for hanging out with us. Hey, all those questions that I asked questions. I asked the questions that were submitted by Recruiter Times, from U.S. Army WTF Moments, from Twitter, from YouTube. I'm not going to ask all these thousands of questions all the time because they. So yes, there was some questions that were asked to the command team, and some of them were filtered out because, filtered as in changed in language because this was not the forum for it, because we're asking the command team for some of their input and to discuss the initiatives for Army recruiting and Army recruiters. So that's basically what it is. If we didn't ask the right question, then I don't want anybody to submit the hate mail. I'm not going to do that. We're not going to disrespect the command team. That's not what we're all about.
And that there are stupid questions. Like, sorry about it.
Right.
Sorry if you think you're no such thing as a stupid question. Sometimes there are, and we're not going to waste a command sergeant major and a 2-star general's time with well, how come we don't have orange tang in the break room or fucking some shit like that? Sorry about it.
Exactly. I'm not gonna do that. We're not. And this is the reason why we have command teams such as general officers or company commanders or sergeants major. This is why they come on, is because we don't play the gotcha game with them, and that's the way it's going to be. But yeah, got it. You're not gonna ask a question that's specific to whatever. You're also looking at some wave top issues that they're not going to know. They're not going to know what happened to you from your station commander. They're not going to know what was going to happen. What happened because you didn't get time off or whatever. That level of fidelity is not going to get to them.
Right. And if you do have issues with that, there are ways to approach them.
Recruiter Times helps.
Absolutely.
Recruiter Times helps. So
absolutely. And if they're not, but there are, even if you don't have to go to U.S. Army WTF Moments, that's the reason we were created.
Yeah.
Was because there's plenty of bullshit, and we get that. We're not saying that shit doesn't happen. But if you want to bring it up to your commanding general and the sergeants majors, talk to them.
Yeah. You
have that chain of command for a reason. Send it up.
Yeah, that was a great interview. It was a lot more. We had Sergeant Foley on before, but to have the commanding general, that's a lot bigger than we've ever had. You're right, Joey. We would. There's that respect. You have to be professional too. If you want some vet bro screaming, go to the other mill pages that do that.
Yep. Yeah, if you want someone who just screams and has rants, that's why I hung up during the call. The professional took the interview.
Oh, thanks. I'm not a professional. I'm just like you, man. We're just bros doing bro things.
I know. But if I'm gonna be all bro vet, I ain't yelling at a general.
Yeah, right. Exactly. There's some respect there. So if you didn't like it, then submit your drama to.
Yeah.
Recruiter Times. Because, like I said, some of the questions I got from multiple platforms, multiple pages, and Recruiter Times was the one that helped me get some of the big ones out.
And there was questions that you asked that came out of the chats and stuff too. Like, that's why we're here. We want that interaction. We do want some interaction between our guests and our audience. But we are sort of a filter. We have to filter some of that stuff out. And I'm sorry if your question didn't get addressed.
Exactly. There you go. That's it. Too easy. It's not the one. WTO is just not the ones that would stir the pot. I think we've stirred a lot. We've started a lot of pots. We've stirred some pots. You just we got them to come on here and talk. That's a big step. We're not going to go here and bash them. So
no. And okay, I don't want their job. Never in my life have I wanted that job.
Nope.
That's tough. I never want to be a recruiter anyway. But I'm just saying, as I wouldn't want to be on a command team like that.
No.
They're in. There's a lot of pressure on all ends of that situation, and God, they're balancing a whole lot of things.
Right, dude.
Like Gary Branson, time and place.
Yeah,
That's right.
Yeah, exactly. Do some housekeeping.
Oh yeah,
yeah. So
we gotta talk about this like a ACFT thing though too.
Spanky
said we got to.
Oh yeah, Spanky said we had to do this. Okay. Yeah. Did we post a story about it? Wasn't there a story that was posted already on the WTF Nation Radio Facebook page? Let me dig. I think there wasn't. So right now we don't know what the hell's going on with the ACFT, the Army Combat Fitness Test. No idea. No idea what's going on. We do not know at all. The ACFT was aimed to be implemented in 3 weeks, but the Army cannot commit to April 1st finalization of the test, which has been stuck in the muck, as Steve Bannon would say from the Military Times. And what I guess we're not doing the PT test. We're not going to commit to an April 1st release. I don't know. Just hang on. Let me drop that in the chat there for you, so we can shoot the breeze about this, Radar, because this is pretty interesting to the fact that everyone was so gung ho and oorah to talk about the ACFT and do the ACFT, and now we're just going back and forth to have any resolution. Right. John says more time to work on those latex. There you go.
That's right. You get enough, you can take out an entire Russian brigade. I read that. It's true.
An entire 5 levels of Russian 5 levels of Russian command. You know, the Ukrainians, I think we didn't have to show up with our leg tucks. That's how the Ukrainians are doing just fine.
That's what Zelensky does in his bunker every day. It's just keeping him snipping tucks.
I put it in the radio articles chat there, man, so you could look at the PT tests drama from Steve Bannon from military.com wrote. Ukraine did their our requirement is 1. Or the plank, exactly that. You got a choice. So Congress, of course, directed an independent review of the planned ACFT to see if it would have adverse effects on the recruitment and retention of women in the service. It was supposed to have been rolled out. You know, just screw that, dude. I want to see what's the status of the freaking body fat thing. You know what I mean? I want to know what's going on with the ABCP. I want to know what's going on with, you know. I'll be honest with you. I think that needs to be adjusted with the ACFT. Joseph says I'm okay with waiting to implement the ACFT, but what's shitty is those lazy fucks getting promoted. People are going to have to understand when you're in the Army, you're going to have a physical fitness requirement to do soldier tasks, to do soldier things.
Just do your soldiering. You need to be physically.
Yeah. You need to be doing some 1-800 leg tuck is what you need to be doing.
Well, and maybe, and this is, I'm quoting Spanky here. I think I'm paraphrasing Spanky, where it was something like, maybe we got to figure out a better way to find our leaders other than just how fast they can run.
Yeah, no, you're right.
But I got out before this all. You had a chance to actually run the ACFT right before you got out.
I did one ACFT before I got out. Before it was part of the test when I was doing part of my rehab. And just one. I just did one. And
a little actually specialist Radar now. He all he's done is the ACFT.
Yeah,
that's all he's had a chance to do. In his new unit in Germany, that's all they do is ACFTs. So are they going to, when he's just about to the point where he's going to be ready, here shortly to be, have his points in for sergeant. So how are they doing that? Are they just not doing any points at all for the PFT, or do you have to run an APFT or an ACFT, or what are they doing?
No, you're right. That's a good question. There's some promotion requirements, and I think need to get knocked out. We need to get Army G1 back on here to shoot the breeze about it, because
I do like it was supposed to be rolled out April Fool's Day. So that should have been their first clue. Right,
exactly. That should have been like April Fools was not gonna, somebody said that the ACFT is actually easier than doing the APFT. There's some organizations or some career fields that it's PT is already part of their plan, or you know what I mean. The art. Let's put it this way: I didn't have any issues. I'll say it. Where's Josiah at? Josiah, pop your head in for a sec when I say back and brag. Or Heath, when I say back and brag. We didn't have an issue with individuals doing any ACFT, male and female. It was because the culture of doing physical fitness was doing physical fitness. It wasn't no big Sarge coming around, having a formation for 30 minutes and then let you do 30 minutes of PT and then you have suck PT. If you did not sit-ups, push-ups at 2 mile, what more do you need? That's real fitness of excellence, Heath. Mm-hmm. There you go, Josiah. There's my man right there, Josiah. Back and back. But we didn't have an issue with the ACFT. We didn't have any issues with anybody doing any leg tucks. We didn't have anybody doing the planks. We didn't have anybody doing any of the exercises. It just, to me, I think that it was the culture of that right there. The culture of that instant. I'm telling you, man, if you have a unit of culture, if you have a culture in your unit that doesn't do PT or doesn't like doing PT, you're not gonna succeed. If to you,
we're looking at you, tankers.
I don't want to say. Well, okay,
I'll say it.
I'll
tankers.
Say tankers.
Every tanker I ever met. I don't know how. That's the reason they're going to tie their boots. They can't bend down and reach.
That's why they have straps on their boots. Is that what you're saying? Is that why they need a 70-ton vehicle with 1,500 horsepower to move them around?
Yeah. It was only 60 ton before the crew got in.
It was 60 tons exactly. Oh, bruh. Maybe that's how they do. Maybe that's how they measure the ABCP is so they can get into their hatch. If they can go into their hatch, there you go. If a tanker, there you go. If a tank. It is. Hey, no lie. Think about it. The ACFT would be cool if it was or if it was more to the MOS. Mm-hmm. So the ABCP should be the same way. If you can't fit through your hatch, then you need to get taped.
Well, that's why the strikers in Iraq had sandbags in the bottom of them, because they were really supposed to be for armored crewmen, and then they figured they're putting grunts in the back, so they had to put sandbags in there for the weight management. That's what it was about.
You're so hating on tankers right now.
I am, dude. Well,
I will admit. No, I will admit. When I got to the 1st Armored Division, and I'm wearing a ball cap, repping. There was some. There was. I showed up to the unit. I'm like, damn.
There's some big old boys in the 1st Armored Division.
And as soon as they put that Stetson on, we don't care about your airborne crap. Where are you from? You know, what's Why do they pick the tallest for tanks? And hey, sometimes I've seen short tankers, I've seen tall tankers, I've seen my fair share.
All round. I've never seen skinny tanker.
Oh, you're just slam. You're not. I don't know. I've seen. You're right.
I haven't.
I've seen fit artillerists. I've seen fit infantrymen. I've seen fit combat engineers.
Yep.
But you're right. I don't think I've ever seen well, they're in shape. Round is a shape, right? I mean,
talking a lot of shit. We're going to get tankers on. Next week, the 1st Armored Division command team will be on it.
Exactly. For 1st Armored Division guys are going to. I know some recruiter time. I serve with several members of the recruiter times staff, and they know what I'm talking about. But you're right. You always see, yeah. We're going to get so much drama on Twitter right now. The guys on Sergeant Time said that tankers are fat,
I do love tankers though, because they get to shoot big guns. They're cool. Tankers are cool.
No, yeah, I don't. If I didn't go my career field that I went, I probably would have been one. Yeah, I've been an artillerist or a tanker.
Well, I was a smart artillery guy. I was a 13 Fox. So
yeah. Isn't that a Fister or something like that? Or,
yeah. Yep.
Yeah. That's you said that's smart. That's smart artillery.
Smart artillery. Yep.
Smart artillery. not like
one of my best friends is he was a mortar guy. He's like, yeah, we're smart infantry. I'm like, all right.
You're smart infantry. Yep. Well, you just gotta go flump and that's it. And make sure it just goes like that, and you do a little. I've hanged one round. I'd like to hang a couple of rounds, but I've only hanged one at that one. Just say, you want to fire it? Yeah, sure. It's already aimed. Bloop. That was fun, and that was it. That was my.
They're cool though. They're cool. They carry lots of stuff. That's good.
They carry lots of dude. You remember when they jumped, man? Come on, dude. When you jump them out of an aircraft, that's not smart infantry. Then that's that's humping. That's humping way more. Did you guys check? Did you see that show? Oh, well, you were obviously on there. Bradley Constant. What'd you think of his interview, man? That was
amazing. He was really, really good.
I was impressed.
Really, I was so impressed with him and his and how cool a job would that be too? To like hang out with The Rock every day,
right? Pick up his mannerisms and see how he's like, and then you have to imitate him,
and then hear all like all that backstory too. Right. Like you have to live him as a middle schooler or whatever, right? So you have to like hear those stories and pick, and that'd just be so amazing. That'd be such a, especially for someone who's kind of like he kind of came out of nowhere, and then he's just now he's The Rock,
right?
You know?
Exactly.
That's cool.
Exactly. I want and some of the things that I bet you if you and I were to have individuals be casted as us as kids, I mean, it would be.
But I don't even know. That is such a boring. Like,
Michael says, "Why am I the only one person watching this on this YouTube?" No, we're watching you. It doesn't matter if it's 1,000, or 100,000, or 1,000,000. We're glad you're in the YouTube chat, and we can
actually,
see
you know what? Once you get on the YouTube one, like it's way easier to pop up. Like I tried watching it the other night, and I was like, man, Monday edition. When that first one you had with the like when the war started.
Yeah.
And I was like trying to watch it on my TV, and like it took forever to try to find it, but now like they all pop up.
Yeah. Yeah, on my TV. Yeah, that's usually how I watch it. I watch Pop Culture Warrior. I will watch it on my TV with surround sound, and it just sounds the way the sounds you guys have pipe through just pops pretty good.
Yeah, I really do. The way he's got that set up comes out really good. I'm really happy with that, and you can really tell too on the pod. I listen to podcasts the next day. If I don't get a chance to, I listen to all the podcasts. I still do. That's how I started. I still do it when I'm driving or when I'm doing whatever.
Yep.
And yeah, it sounds really good on podcast too. So
yeah, it sounded pretty good. I mean, I just play what I play, and that's it. Is it normal that audio feels like sharp echoes in my eardrum? Yeah.
That's just my voice.
That's
Sorry,
that's how he whispers sweet nothings in your ears if you're wearing earphones. I'm gonna be on break next week. I'm gonna be on me and Spanky are taking Easter break, spring break vacation, and then however you guys are gonna be rocking a pretty badass. A badass freaking guest. Jeff Stryker's going to be on your show, dude.
That's awesome. I am super excited about that.
Yeah,
I really am. I'm really excited about that one.
He's going to be on. If you guys don't know him, watch Black Hawk Down. It's what you do now that makes a difference. You know, that little pep talk.
Mm-hmm.
That guy in the hangar, just watch that. He enlisted as an infantryman and retired as a chaplain and an inductee of the Ranger Hall of Fame. He's going to be on the 15th with Pop Culture Warrior. And then Brooke Bassinger is going to be on the 22nd. And then, she's the starring role of Universal Series Stargirl. She was also Bella Dawson on Nickelodeon series Bella and the Bulldogs. And then on the 24th, we're going to have One Punch Dad. Dude, that warrant officer, that bald warrant officer that drops. I love his TikToks, man. He's awesome.
His truth bombs.
I
think didn't he talk about the tanker boots too?
He does. He talks about we're gonna have to we're gonna have to as a matter of fact we're gonna have to post some more videos of him. As a matter of fact, making fun of the tanker boots too, making fun of boots of what everybody's wearing. Rich Ting's gonna be on, fourth generation Asian American. Growing up as an athlete, Ting played collegiate football at Yale University, earning a BA, and then went on to achieve a dual JD MBA. God, JD went to law school too. After achieving scholastic goals, he realized that he needed to switch careers and pursue his passion for the entertainment industry. Man, he's freaking he's a riot, man.
Yep.
So I can't wait to have him on. Then we have Cheyenne Sobian. I'm really jacking up that name. I hope I'm not pronouncing that correct. Best known for Behrad Tarazi and DC Legends of Tomorrow. Also, an accomplished singer-musician who plays a variety of instruments, to include the guitar, bass, piano, Dulcimer, and the Shruti box. On December 20th.
Did you just make up a bunch of words? I don't know any of those.
I'm reading the cut sheet that's got all the stuff on here.
So I don't know those words.
In December 2020, he released the first single, "I Fall to Pieces Without Falling Apart," on streaming platforms. So he's going to come on. Stay tuned. Also, we're always working, back and forth networking with other influencers and guests. Like we had one, we were supposed to have one for Friday Night Freedom tomorrow, but scheduling conflict. But once we get that individual on there, you guys are going to rock it's going to rock. It's going to be an awesome. I can't wait for this individual to come on. And right now I think we're all going to like rock, paper, scissors again. Maybe have him come on, one of the shows. But other than that, dude, we just had a 2-star general on a command team. Sergeant Major, on USAREC. We had USAREC here. USAREC commanding generals on here, dude.
You know what? I remember when we used to bust their balls like every week.
I was about to say the relationship, the evolution of our relationship with U.S. Army WTF Moments and WTF Nation Radio with USAREC has grown.
I'm gonna throw this out there though. They kind of deserved it, some of that shit.
I will say, I will
but
say.
That was a different command team, though, right? They've had a change of command team.
They've had. Well, this was years back, man. They've had several commands.
That wasn't that many long. It was like 2 years ago. That was like right before Rona.
Yeah, but there was also 2 other command teams before that. In other words, U.S. Army WTF Moments has been here since 2010. They've been.
Yeah, but I mean, since we were really busting their ass. Since we were really riding.
I think it was right before it was right before I went public in 2019. So the command team before that command team, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
It wasn't those last 2 command teams. It was pretty dicey.
Yeah. Well, and in all fairness to them, like the Iraq had closed and Afghanistan was rolling down, and they were trying to figure out they were kicking people out, but trying to recruit people, and it was just a mess. And
exactly.
Shit up, and they were like, "No, you guys work 1,000 hours a week," and dudes were like, "I just want to watch my baby born."
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it was. They were back and forth relationship, man. I'm glad they came on and able to shoot the breeze and all that. That was awesome. I appreciate you guys in the audience, kind of like maintaining your cool and showing respect for the command team as well. Like I said, I asked. They only had an hour time, and I went an hour and 7 minutes over. So that was too much. That you command teams like that have a finite amount of time. So I didn't ask all the questions. Yes, so you can get off my back on that. But anywho, with that, you got anything? You got anything for me, Radar?
No, I don't. Just hang with us on. Well, you're gonna be gone Monday.
Yeah, right? Yeah, I'll be gone. I'll be gone doing spring break stuff and visiting family. I might pop in a phone call or might pop in a video or something like that. But that's about it. I mean,
yeah. But so hang out with us on Tuesday. Hang out with me and CQ on Tuesday. We'll be good times.
Yeah, exactly. So. Anywho, I think Ncos was going to call us. I saw Stank come up, and then I saw him break off in the middle of some stuff. So I don't know. We're going to get stanked. I'm looking at the monitoring, looking at the phone line monitoring right now, and I'm seeing if we're going to get stanked. Let me see. Ncos, you can give us a call. I'm going to give you a minute. And there you go. So once I see,
you see this in the main page chat. Familiar with Lieutenant General Ferrier? Who's that? Operates Columbus, Ohio Vet Memorial Museum. I encourage you to reach out. I don't know what that means. You know who that is?
I don't know who it is.
No.
I don't know who it is.
Well, I don't know who he is, Joey Little, but
yeah. Well, he says he operates that. Hey, Steve, what's up? Be there Tuesday. All right. Well, hey, we're gonna go ahead and punch out and punch it, Chewy. Y'all have a good night. Thank you guys for joining again. Thank you, Command Team USAREC, for hanging out. It was a great talk. And, everyone, thank you again. Make sure you tune in tomorrow to Friday Night Freedom with Cons and Pooks. Don't forget we may or may not have the Monday edition. We have, obviously, Pop Culture Warrior on Tuesdays with yourself and Radar. And then, there you go. Thursday starting time with myself and Spanky, and, of course, Friday Night Freedom. We're doing a lot of train up right now and training to get some other shows, and then we're going to get some more staff members to do 2 more shows. So the week is about ready to get. I think we'll be probably
one show a week.
We're gonna have one show a day pretty soon, and it's gonna be back to the way it used to be. We're gonna have a sports channel, a sports page. The sports page is evolving from the Monday edition chat to the sports bar, and then we're gonna have a health and wellness, and then we're gonna have a radar show. So
a radar show is gonna be great.
Yep. So it's gonna be awesome. I can't wait.
It might be very unorganized, but it's gonna be fun.
It'll be good, man. It'll be good.
So
stay tuned for all that stuff. Of course, all that stuff happens when we're not broadcasting. All that stuff's under development, and the great team of our front desk are the ones that get you the guests, and of course our awesome fans and the mothership, U.S. Army WTF Moments. So again, thank y'all hanging out. And then contact at WTFNationRadio.com if you want to throw us some license-free music, or if you have any leads for any guests, we can hook. We can get them knocked out. Or if you have anything that you want to submit to us through the main page, go to U.S. Army WTF Moments Facebook page, or go to connect at armywtfmoments.com, so that way you can throw ideas or whatever. I'll get all the emails anyway, so it's not a big deal. But again, thank you guys for hanging out, and see you. Shouts.
There's a lot of tough talk on Twitter, but there's not a lot of real talk.
The voice of U.S. Army, WTF Moments. This is WTF Nation Radio.
Hey, this is SEAC retired John Wayne Troxel. You're listening to WTF Nation Radio, the station of choice for all of the badass MFers on the planet.
The voice of U.S. Army, WTF Moments. This is WTF Nation Radio.
Hello, darkness, my old friend. I've come to talk with you again, because a vision softly creeping left its seeds while I was sleeping. And the vision that was planted in my brain still remains within the sound of silence. In restless dreams I walked alone, narrow streets of cobblestone, neath the halo of a street lamp. I turned my collar to the cold and damp, and my eyes were staring by the flash of a neon light that split the night and touched the sound of silence. And in the naked light I saw 10,000 people, maybe more. People talking without speaking, people hearing without listening, people writing songs and voices never shared, and no one dared to spend the sound of silence. Fool said you do not know. Silence like a cancer grows. Hear my words that I might teach you. Hey, my God, that I might reach you. But my words, like silent raindrops fell, and echoed in the wells of silence, and the people bowed and prayed to the neon god they made, and the sign lashed out his warning, and the words that it was forming, in the signs and the words of the prophets of midnight.
Everything stated on WTF Nation Radio is to be considered the opinion of the person that stated it, and not an official representation of WTF Nation Radio or U.S. Army WTF Moments.
Price does not include tax, title, or license. Some assembly required. Each item sold separately. Batteries not included. Objects in mirror are closer than they appear. If conditions persist, contact a physician. Individual results may vary. Keep out of the reach of children. Avoid prolonged exposure to direct sunlight. Keep in a cool, dark place. And
please enjoy the show. Shots.